Little delay. Smith has some room. No, brought down nicely. Ball's down, and that's Urlacher with it. Down to the 50. He's got to beat the quarterback. Hesitates, and he's going to go all the way.
This is 365 Sports.
Just outside the 35-yard line. Peterson, the freshman, cutting back. He's going to get there. First touchdown of his career, Adrian Peterson.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Varner is back deep again for the Ducks, and this is a beautiful punt. Back to the 15, running backwards, loose, free ball, touchdown, LSU. Matthew picks it up and runs in, and LSU strikes.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Favre rolling and throwing under pressure, and it's intercepted. Deion, he may score right away. It is Sanders for the touchdown.
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at uniteprivatenetworks.com.
White darts up the middle. Head White in the open field. Head White to the house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this Friday. We will have a lot of different things to get to today. Yes, we'll have an update at some point from Augusta National with round 2, and we'll even have Art Strickland, who is a writer, has been covering golf forever. He'll join us from Augusta National a little bit before the 5 o'clock hour. Mickey Spagnola, Paul's Top 5, Pat Smith, who does a remarkable job at WJOX, a three-man front of covering the SEC on the story we're about to discuss. Paul Catalina and Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak, and thank you for your time. So Nico Iamaleava, is or wasn't at practice today. This from Chris Lowe. Of course, there have been other reports, including yesterday with On3 and Pete Nakos, and we'll get to that in a moment, who reported that there was a little bit of something going on. Maybe wanting more money, whether it's his agency or he or his father or all of the above. And we'll have a note from his father in just a moment, too. You have the big spring game showcase, whatever they're called these days, tomorrow in Knoxville. And yet today, he did not show up at Friday morning's practice. Chris Lowe also mentioning that the reps were adamant that Thursday that the news outlets that had been negotiating or reporting the negotiation were wrong. In fact, here's another note from Nico's father. More games being played off the field than on the field. And he takes a shot at Pete Nakos from On3, called and asked me directly. I told him I had no idea what he's talking about. He said his close source that he trusts with his life from the University of Tennessee gave him this, as far as the story that they were wanting to renegotiate his NIL deal. Shannon Terry, who's the owner, CEO of On3, then responded, is a terrific young reporter who works as hard as anyone. First to arrive, last to leave. He puts his name on his work. If being a bold reporter with excellent sources and integrity is a sign of a bitch, then please send more my way. We are hiring. So there's another graphic we'll get to in a moment that was kind of a flippant type graphic of Nico. And I don't know. We don't know the truth here, but I do think we know Pete Nakos. I don't think Pete Nakos reports something just because he decides he wants to be front and center. Paul and Craig, your thoughts about this drama in Knoxville, Tennessee?
Well, it was bound to happen that we were going to have holdouts and things like this. I think Nico's dad is mad because Pete Nakos blew up their spot. They were trying to keep this under wraps, and that is foolish because if you've got a guy who we already know has a massive NIL deal, massive, and was the quarterback of a playoff team last year and was the quarterback of an SEC playoff team that had that playoff game at home and lost the eventual national champion, that this is going to get attention if even just a little, dust of it, comes out. And so Pete Nakos, and look, Shannon Terry said it. That's his boss. Pete Nakos is one of the best, hardest working guys in the biz. He is not going to go to this and make a fool of himself. So I do think that Nico's dad is mad because they got their spot blown up and the secrecy is out there. And the PR hit right now is really all on Nico. Now, there's a bunch of Tennessee fans that are going to be mad because they'll say that Pete Nakos' report is what blew this up. No. Nico doing a holdout is going to blow this up. And many of the reports we're hearing is that this not only caught the coaches off guard, but none of the players saw this coming either. And these are the things that, look, if you're Nico Iamaleava and you were getting, an $8 million contract, and then you decide to blow it up at the end of spring when your team, if you had decided to just transfer a normal way and go for more money, they would probably understand that. They wouldn't be thrilled about it. But to do it on the timetable you're doing it, to try to railroad Tennessee into giving more money. Now, look, most of the time I'm not on the side of the schools in this, but the way this has been carried out, it appears to be pretty shady. And if I was a player on that team, I'd be like, hey, man, we're not all making what you're making. We're out here too. Let's be in this together.
Yeah, the days of teams being held hostage by the players really sucks. And I know that they've been held hostage by coaches, and that sucks too. Either way, whichever direction the wind blows, it's a situation that sucks for the fans. Whether it's a coach that's 1 foot out the door or a player that's leveraging his talents for more money. It's just a story that has the fans caught in the middle and just wanting, obviously what's best for their programs. And so when there's so much mystery and back and forth talking going around, there's a lot of mud being slung around. And it's an unfortunate couple of days for Tennessee fans who just want to go watch spring football and root on their team and hope they make the playoff again next year and hope this quarterback's as great as he was made out to be when he was a recruit, because quite frankly, he's not yet lived up to that, although he's had a moment here and there. But I'll tell you what blew it up. I mean, I think Paul's exactly right. I think Daddy is pissed that their whole secret got blown up and put out there on blast because it's much easier to do the dirt in the dark, right? Mm-hmm. And so now the light's being shown on it, and now it's not so easy because while you're doing whatever you're doing and you're denying anything is happening whatsoever, You know what really blew it up, Mr. Iamaleava, and I'm not trying to say that improperly if I am. I'm doing my best there. What really blew that up is the fact that he no-showed today. So that's what really blew the story up, is him no-showing, not the stuff yesterday. If he shows up to practice today, this is a non-story. But he didn't. So the story is suddenly twice as big because, now there's something actually to this because we just talked yesterday and now there's something to it. So that's not on Pete Nakos or on any reporter or on even Tennessee. That's on your son for not being at practice. Now, if he has a twisted ankle or something, I'm sure that'll come out rather quickly. But in light of what was talked about yesterday, he's the one that put a bigger magnifying glass on it. So he only needs to be looking at his son or looking in the mirror. And this all being on the open, just makes it uglier. Clearly something's going on. I mean, you can't deny it at this point. I tried to be very open-minded yesterday and say, like, hey, we're missing some details. This looks a little funky. But I'm sure we'll hear more about it, and then that will fill in the blanks, and then maybe it's not as big of a deal because it's like Sam Kahn said to us, no, this is normal. You renegotiate at the end of spring ball or whatever. And I just took him, as being an expert in the portal, that's part of the process, and so maybe I'm overreacting to it. But then this happens today? No, I don't think there's overreacting to it. There's obviously something actually happening behind the scenes.
Chris Lowe, I'm going to read just a couple of things just to kind of go through the bullet points of this. Nico's reps, adamant yesterday to news outlets that there was no NIL renegotiation going on, but sources telling ESPN there has been growing frustration among the administration and players about the situation, especially when he didn't show up for practice. Right before the winter portal closed, the reps wanted to see his deal, Nico's deal, up to $4 million range. And again, this time as the spring portal opens next Wednesday. And then, of course, the spring game coming up tomorrow, practices, their last one being today. Chris Lowe also said there's one thing to add, that Josh Heupel and Iamaleava have a very healthy relationship. But this is not the first time that the reps have talked to other schools over the last few months, and the SEC does not allow transfers within the conference during the spring portal. Now, when the semester ends in May or June, yes, but not during the spring portal. So those are some of the notes on Nico, and also this story that is blown up in college football.
Well, I don't think that the push to get him is coming from inside the house, so to speak, in the SEC. I think whoever is trying to get him is outside that conference.
BYU?
Look, it would not shock me at all. I actually think it might be USC.
They got a damn good quarterback. I know you're talking.
I really think that it might be USC. I'm not trying to say it, but he's from the West Coast. They're who can you go get? Who would they're probably not all that thrilled with their quarterback situation right now. They're not ringing the bell like they were before at that position. So it's my educated guess.
All right. Chris Lowe also saying this. It did not, the leak from yesterday that led to Pete Nakos in the report on On3 is it can confirm it did not come from Spire Sports, which is, of course, Tennessee's collective arm, not his representatives. That is Tennessee's collective arm, the NIL collective arm. So that is also of interest too. So my goodness, I don't know where this is going to end up, but it doesn't seem like it's going to end up very well, no matter what the final destination might be.
Well, I mean, we'll see more tomorrow, right? We'll see if he's out there and he's practicing and they're closing out spring and style with everything all settled and nice and happy and PR friendly and all of that, or it's just going to become a bigger story as we get into the off season. And I'm of the camp, as I said yesterday, of I get he's a good player. He's not a great player yet. He's not one of the best quarterbacks in college football just yet. So if I think I was in the Tennessee fan base and everything appears to be what it is, I would totally be of the camp of almost let him walk. But then I know the alternative is well, then what do you do? And especially when you've got a season primed up where you feel like you were just in the playoff and you feel like you can get back there. And so that's the pickle you're in as a fan of, you'd probably love to just be all right, you know what? Leave. Go play wherever and make $8 million. Good luck to you. But damn, then what happens to my team? Then all of a sudden we don't have our starting quarterback. It's nearly May at this point. Spring ball's over. The portal's just a blip compared to what it was when it first opened up. So, you're putting everybody in a tough spot. I'm sure it will all get worked out. I say that because I'm just trying to, be positive, and maybe it's just online drama that, like a lot of things, gets magnified, and it's all able to be settled in real life, with real conversations, not throwing stuff over Twitter between the dad and the, the booster and the whoever. Like, maybe they actually, like, adults log off and they go talk about this, and then they tell the public what happened. I know I'm probably asking for too much there, but I'll assume that eventually the adults will realize that's the best method of action rather than playing it out over social media. But you know what? We'll see if that'll be the case or not.
I've known Brad Adcock. He's been in coaching. I've known him for a long time. This is what he put up in response. And when I just retweeted what Chris Lowe said, a couple of things he said, it won't happen because college boosters and coaches are spineless. But Tennessee needs to tell him and his pops to kick rocks.
I agree.
Then
I totally agree.
Yeah, no. Then 0 other college programs need to take a look at him as a transfer. Like I said, wishful thinking. But until that happens, this will only get worse.
Look, I'm on the side of the players on most everything, but I am of the opinion nowadays of, like, at some point the schools do need to bite back again a little bit. Like, and I don't know to what extent they can do that. Like, I don't know how you can, quote unquote, I don't want to look at it as punishment, but you got to get your teeth back.
Yeah.
I mean, you are toothless as hell. And, you got your teeth knocked out by law and by government and by the rules of the order that we have in this country when it comes to, paying people and employment and things like that. So they got their just due. That was a long time coming. They had been asking to get a bit of a whiplash for a very long time, and we're all in agreement on that. The schools got away with murder for decades and made billions of dollars off the backs of athletes. And now you're in a situation where the athlete is basically first class in everything, right? And getting not just the facilities and all that to try to say, no, we're paying them the money. Like, see, they get these great meals and these great clothes and all this, and this education, of course. But now they're getting all the money they want on top of that. But at some point, if you're going to be held hostage every year, and you're going to have a situation where you're priming up for maybe a playoff run, and now your quarterback, who's already been paid really well, suddenly wants to renegotiate at the very end of spring ball or something, like, yeah, at some point you wish a school would just go, you know what, yeah, screw you, see you later, go have fun at USC or
would you
wherever
have had
you
more
might
respect for him if he would have played in the spring game and then entered the portal and moved on?
I mean, I don't really hold that for him to be. I mean, like, you know what? I mean, he's a young guy who I don't know from Adam, so I guess to your question there, I would respect it if everybody would just say what's really happening.
No, they're okay. Well, yeah, that would just clear the air. It is a mess. I reached out. We have had 3 to 5 different Tennessee volunteer writers, whether it's a message board or a website or whatever, the Tennessean, et cetera, reached out to several of the writers, and they said, we don't have time today. And they're always available. So Pat Smith from, again, 3-man front, the WJOX in Birmingham, will give us his feedback from the capital, basically, of the SEC and from what he's learned himself.
And it just makes me cringe when I hear it. I know it's totally just the way things are now, but when I hear his reps tell us that, and it's just like his freaking reps, like who, his dad and his agent, okay, whatever. That just sounds funky to me, but I know I just need to get used to it. It's just still hard to kind of swallow that sort of reporting on a college football player, but it is what it is. I'll say Chris Lowe's not going to put out a bunch of bullshit.
No.
So I think if he's putting it out there that this has happened now multiple times, then that's when I'm really in the camp of Tennessee needs to say, if they were afforded the opportunity to say, yeah, kick rocks, dude, because that's where I'm coming from with the teeth thing. Is like, you can't do this yo-yo thing all the time. Like, that's just not good business. If we want to make everything about business, that's not good business. So if you want to be business-like, then you need to be doing good business with each other, and every few months saying, oh, we need to renegotiate again. When you have it, nothing's changed really, other than your leverage probably.
Did he win the Heisman? No. Did he win a playoff game? No. Did they win the national championship? No. Did they win the SEC? No. So,
and I totally get his side of like, if I can squeeze more money out, I'm going to squeeze more money out, but that doesn't make it, right.
I would be, if I were him, if I was worried about money, maybe marketing my name in a advertising sense. If that's the case, his people should be trying to do that, and maybe they have, and they've hit the wall. So this is what they have to do. Now, I consider myself a bit of a PR maven. I think I'm pretty good at it.
A maven?
A maven. Yes, a maven. I'm an amateur PR person. Like, if it was at the Masters, I would be there. I would be there. I'm probably not going to win the thing, but I think my advice to Josh Heupel would be, look, you have PR on your side. Like, you have the story on your side right now. So if you do, look, they'll give you a year. And also, I do think this will happen. If Nico Iamaleava goes in the portal this week, then somebody's going to say, hey, Tennessee's got a lot of money out there. I might go in, and you might get to a quarterback that can get you to 9 wins, especially in that offensive system that Josh Heupel has made. He's picked it up from a lot of other people, but also, if you remember this, Josh Heupel won a national championship by not being the best quarterback in the world. He was able to distribute around and create a lot of different things. They've been able to do that with some guys that are just, Hooker's good. Milton was good. Iamaleava has got this plus level talent, but he hasn't hit there yet. So if they can find somebody that can walk and chew gum, they can be 9-3 easy. And then he can say, look, we're going to go all out and find another 5-star quarterback. Don't worry about that. But I'm doing this for the other guys on the roster because Nico, it's not about me. It's about those guys and the 100+ guys who are there working and not doing this, trying to pull the rug out from under them. I think you've got a little bit of PR on your side.
And is spring ball, I mean, I know that there's players for Tennessee that got better this spring, but does it make it feel even more relevant when all of a sudden by the end of spring you need to change your starting quarterback potentially because he's renegotiating his contract?
We mentioned yesterday they have a freshman that's on campus who I guess may be a second-year guy, and then one that entered during mid-semester. That's it.
Yeah, and I know it doesn't wipe away all the good work that was done by the rest of the team.
Right.
But when you're talking about getting ramped up for next season and heading into the offseason, and
this is a huge
you get to the end of spring
and
what's supposed to be like a playoff run or something, and now the starting quarterback, his dad's fighting with Tennessee people on Twitter about his – it's just, it sucks.
Does this also lead to either confirm or not, or validate coaches not wanting to have spring football during the normal times? Would this prevent this?
No, I mean, it's not going to change it. I just think it just lessens the importance that much further.
Yeah.
Other outside of the obvious gains that players are going to make, like this guy, became a better linebacker over the last few weeks. There's value to spring ball. Nobody's trying to get rid of spring ball. They're just trying to maybe tweak it. But I just think the fun of spring ball and just the idea of it actually mattering a great deal to what comes in August is just further lessened when at the end of this, all that work that Tennessee did, a lot of it could be for naught because the main driving force of their offense potentially is now not even going to be on the team maybe, or that's even in doubt, and you haven't even closed spring ball yet. It just I don't know. I don't know how to phrase it properly, but it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth and just kind of leaves a stain on, spring ball actually being this big ramp up to next season because now everything seems like it's in flux.
Barry Crawford, what would the school do if Josh Heupel refused to show up, refused to hold practice unless the school renegotiated his contract? They would either fire him, still owe him money, or you hope that it would be before it got public, that, we see this all the time. Like Craig said, this isn't just players who do this. Coaches can leave. What's the guy from Maryland? Willard, the basketball coach who held Maryland hostage, among others. But I don't know how this is going to end, but this sure can you imagine as large a fan base as Tennessee has, what this is like? Because now we're discussing it on a show that reaches coast to coast, and others are too. We'll have Pat Smith join us and maybe give us what's been the reaction in the land of the national championships in the SEC. Except, of course, last year it was Ohio State.
And the year before it was Michigan.
And the year before it was the Big Ten too. He was a good player. He is a good player. Good stats. But I did see, and I saw where Paxton put this up, that a lot of the chunk of what he did with touchdowns, et cetera, were against teams from UTEP, et cetera, in his career. Tennessee was good. He's good. And I don't know. Can you put this one back in the drawer? Can this now end any way other than he won't be playing at Tennessee next year?
I think the probably still most logical outcome is they probably come to some sort of a deal and everything, is water under the bridge. And then that's not to say it might not have an effect. Like there might not be players or a fracture that's created by all this, but players having an issue with it. It's definitely opening up Pandora's box. Oh, well, Nico did that? Well, I'm the star All-American linebacker. Guess what I want to do now? I'm going to threaten after spring ball's over with to hold out or I'm going to transfer, So now if you're Josh Heupel, you have to wrangle with that. You were already probably wrangling with that to some extent, but if you were to welcome him back, yeah, there's going to be questions, even if it does look all kumbaya. And this could go any direction. I assume, I would love for it to go the messiest direction because that would be the most interesting thing to talk about. I know Tennessee fans want him to just be at practice tomorrow and close spring ball and everything's kumbaya. We'll see tomorrow. If he's not there tomorrow, then yeah, I think it could get messy and maybe is the end of that relationship. But who knows, man? I don't know these people well enough to make a real rock solid prediction on that.
General Ursus.
Money cures a lot of problems.
Yeah. General Ursus, thank you for joining the show. I'm a Tennessee fan, and it's chaotic here to say the least. I wish we could put these players into lockdown contracts and put this kind of stuff to bed.
Yeah, we all do, man. It's crazy, and I know there's some fun in the chaos, and you love to look at the other fan base when they're dealing with a situation like that and laugh, and it's all humorous, but man, it does suck to just be constantly in flux. And that's kind of what I'm talking about with the spring ball thing. Is oh yeah, we're ramping up. We got this team that just came back from a great year, got our quarterback back. We've got a really talented team. And now here you are, and tomorrow's supposed to be the big goodbye before you go into this hibernation. And now you've got this. So it's not what spring ball was intended to be. There's more chaos than ever. You can't even close spring ball and know for sure if your starting quarterback is going to be your starting quarterback in 5 months. And I just don't think that's healthy for anybody but chaos lovers. It's definitely not healthy for the sport. It might spike on 3 or Rivals or 247's, hits on their website. It's great for them. It's great for us in some ways, but it's not great for the sport in my mind. And, inevitably a comment like that, well, what about coaches? They get to move. Yeah, but there's money paid back. There's some ramification. There's some order to it, even though, yes, there are hundreds of examples of coaches bailing on programs. But I don't know. I think it's a slight bit different in that there's a buyout involved. There is something. There's not this, we negotiate, and then it turns out the contract means diddly squat, basically, because seemingly you can go renegotiate and leave whenever you want to, no matter what you just signed the year before. So, yeah, if you could get it to where he signed a 3-year deal or a 4-year deal, and that's actually a real 3 or 4 year deal. Maybe there's an out after 3 for both sides. Then okay. But this, hey, I played good last year, let's get to the end of spring and renegotiate. Or earlier in the year, there was the things about renegotiating already out there, apparently. I just think that constant uncertainty, it just doesn't make for a fun fan experience. And it definitely doesn't make for a fun coaching experience. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, Vols fans. It really is.
But a coach who signs a deal, no matter if it's the smallest or largest or in between schools, whatever sport, there is a contract and there is a buyout. Some have the ability to have a larger buyout based on the university protected itself and vice versa if the coach himself is fired or herself is fired, no matter what the sport is.
And there's also still a good chance until it happens that he comes swooping in like Superman tomorrow with the cape on his back, and he's here and he loves Tennessee and everything's right with the world. And I think there's just as good of a chance of that happening as there is he no-shows, and this becomes an even bigger story.
But he has to, after this, the hardest thing he's going to have to do is look that coaching staff and his fellow players in the eye and be like, hey, guys, and try to explain his situation, which I think is going to be hard. And I
think players, though, will understand, Paul. I think players.
I think some of the players will understand. I think there's going to be a lot of them that don't because of the way he went about it.
Right.
I think because, I've talked to, just players from Baylor and other places that we've encountered, and the way they feel about it is they love the idea. They love NIL. They love that they have the access to it, but they will tell you if they're mad at the way somebody goes about it and that it affects it. That's happened. I've talked to a couple different players here at Baylor from different teams that has certainly affected things in locker rooms, because it's like, look, buddy, get your money. But
to a point.
We're all here too.
To a point.
Paxton said the bridge has already been crossed.
Yeah, may well. I mean, I'm not ready to write off the end of the story because I don't know what the end of it is going to be. I'm as fascinated as anybody. So yeah, I mean that's possible.
How would you, if you're a teammate? It seemed like I would think everybody, even if they know Nico's making a bunch of money, which is part of being the supply and demand. How do they react to this? A lot of times players don't. They understand it. They wish they were in the same position. Some of them are. How do the players within that locker room? Is it even something that comes up?
Yeah.
It's what we were just talking about.
Yeah,
No,
I'm saying it comes up because really you have
a guy like the starting wide receiver talks to him as a friend, or is there a problem in the locker room?
I think there will be. I think it's going to be reacted to differently by different players. And that's the problem, is that you need to be successful. You know, one of the things that almost all great teams have in common that win titles, the ones that derail, like, you know, I'll use the example, you know, it was in the documentary about Florida. They were undefeated that whole year, that Tim Tebow's last year, but they knew that they were standing on the precipice because everything was just way harder and they weren't getting along the way that they were. They weren't in lockstep. So they knew that some team was going to come along in the back of their minds and pull the rug out from under them, which is what Alabama did. And when you're not in lockstep as a team all the way around, this is going to be a problem. And this is one of those things that every single person in that locker room will have a differing opinion about, and that's not good.
Well, at this point, everybody should be entering a period where everything's settled. Like, we have our contracts, we have our money negotiated, we are finishing spring ball. Now we're going to go into lockdown and we're going to lift weights and do all of stuff for the next few months and then get ready for the season. It's time to start, like, getting ready for a little bit of free time, but also, like, here's our team and here's how we're moving forward. Instead, you're totally in flux. And you're totally in flux with nothing else coming up until actual practices for the season start, potentially, if this does go the way that it's gone the last 24 hours. And so there's bound to be players that are bothered by that because, yes, some of them are going for the money, but you want to win. You're there to win. You're there to represent Tennessee and be a team and go win a national title. And this is not helping that in any form or fashion. So,
but this is how pros do it when there's a certain time period coming up. This is
what are they called?
Holdouts.
No, they're called pros.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what do they have?
Contracts.
And how do they get those contracts?
All right, here's Kim Coulter. Now, Craig and Paul, he said, Craig is bringing logic, truth, and intelligence to the subject. This has got to end.
Yeah, I mean, look, it does. And they also have a CBA. So the players all know what mechanisms they have available to them. This is not the case in college football. So, again, like, we're back at you guys at this is kind of everybody's fault in this, is that every chance you've gotten to try to do this has created the situation, which is untenable for everybody in the Tennessee program, coaches, players, everybody. It's untenable because now you have a guy who is making a crap load of money. Like, this is not a guy who's underpaid. Almost all the holdouts in the NFL happen because somebody is not getting paid commensurate to their position after a great season. So they haven't gotten their extension yet, or some other players have gotten extensions and they're better than those guys. So they hold out to get money commensurate with those other guys at your position. So if you're, the best wide receiver in the league, and then all of a sudden 4 or 5 guys have jumped ahead of you, you hold out to get back up with them and make your salary commensurate. I would say that Nico Iamaleava's salary, his NIL deal, is commensurate with anyone you want to throw out there. So that's probably where the problem is.
We don't know that for sure, but a couple of million, if that's the number, and it's been now this will be his 3rd year, that's pretty good. We don't know. There's some that may be making 5 or 6. We hear that's also what you wish you could see. It will never get to that point. Is what is the actual NIL? And I think all schools would love to see that too, so they don't bid against each other, against themselves, excuse me.
Yeah, the schools would love that because then they don't get played, and of course, but the players and agents should never want that because they can use it to drive everything up and throw rumors out there on Twitter and, this dude's making $10 million. Oh, wow, and this dude definitely deserves $12 million. That dude's making like $3 million. So yeah, they'll never go for that. They'll fight that, and rightfully so, from a business standpoint, for as long as they possibly could. And I don't blame him for trying to get more money. I mean, you're a starting quarterback on a playoff team. Your original deal is probably not what it should be when all this other stuff's now taken into account of what's been accomplished. Not that you were necessarily the sole driving force for all of that, but the problem with wanting to do that is just the timing of it. It's the end of spring ball, and now you're doing this. Now that's the smart business play from some standpoints, because that's when you're going to have the most leverage. Like, hey, it's me, or you're going to have to try to come up with something for August. So what are you going to do about it? But is that like morally the best thing to do? Like, is that the best business from somebody you're supposed to have a good relationship? No, probably not. But I mean, I get the tactic. I just think the timing of it smells awful. And yeah, it could come back and bite him in the ass.
Let's read some chat comments, and then we take a break and come back with Pat Smith and just kind of what it's like in the heart and soul of the SEC country. The spring portal is the culprit. That's from Bracket Cat. From Paxton, this is why I love how Sarkisian handles these situations. It appears that's the way he has done it. We don't know. There's probably a few that have maybe not gone perfectly. The leveraging wouldn't be happening right now if there wasn't a way out.
Right.
Bracket Cat, collective bargaining. Kim Coulter, I wonder if good, Kim, to see you today, by the way. I wonder if anyone in here has ever said collective bargaining was the inevitable. Gee, I wonder. He brought it up a while back.
And we know the problem with that is just that the schools don't want that.
No, they don't.
They don't want to do that.
And so, okay, well, maybe that's something they're going to have to. Maybe that's something they're going to have to give in. I don't think that'll be the last thing. Let's see here. Let me see here. Hey, 365 Sports does. I don't even know where this is going. I would give Nico $3.2 million for a year. Take us back to the playoffs, and last year contract we give, then we'll give you a top money if he takes them back to the playoffs.
I mean,
even if a deal does get done, it'll probably be better if Nico doesn't show up tomorrow, or he'll be booed out of the stadium.
I mean, yeah, I think tomorrow's. I mean, unless there's some story that comes out tonight of like statement from Nico and his agent or whatever, and they put it all to bed. I mean, I guess that's a possibility until it's not. But yeah, tomorrow seems like it'll be a big day if nothing happens before then, and will be a real indicator, because I think if you don't show up tomorrow, I don't know that the fan base will, I just don't know that.
I hope he does show finally an exciting and interesting spring game to watch.
Yeah, that's
very well
the most
done.
talked about spring game now by far, not even close, because I mean, all the rest of them just kind of coming and going without really much attention being paid, as spring ball's just not quite what it was, and in part because you're going through the spring with a roster that's going to change at the end of spring to some degree, whether you're adding or guys are leaving. And in this case, it could be the high-profile starting quarterback who's one of the poster children for NIL, as he is, because he was that guy who was rumored to be getting that money, that bag, a couple of years ago. And so he's in line with the Jaden Rashadas and everybody else who's been kind of that face, an Arch Manning, I guess, whoever else.
UC Fez. I work in Knoxville, and I was on campus today. There are a lot of angry Tennessee fans on the streets today.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Sir blah, blah, blah. Who would represent the players in collective bargaining? From Scotty, there needs to be something written, like if you want out of pay certain amount of an NIL deal. We've discussed that. That's the buyout. I don't know if they'll ever get to that or not, but that has been mentioned very much before. And so one more thing, let's see. The Nico situation is the best example of that being the case, which is schools are no longer in control.
No, yeah, they're absolutely not in control. I mean, they've lost so much leverage and control over the last 4 or 5 years. It's insane. Now, a lot of it was stuff that needed to be unwound, and control they didn't deserve to have, and control that they wielded unfairly a lot of times. They got rich and made a lot of money, and now the shoe's on the other foot, and they don't like it. The problem is there is that pendulum, and instead of the pendulum going in the middle, it's now gone from wildly to the right to wildly to the left. And I think everybody just wants to see the pendulum sitting in the middle, where both sides can get fat and happy. The fans ultimately win.
And they can.
And it makes sense. Yep. Instead of, hey, we're going into the last day of spring ball, and our starting quarterback off our playoff team last year is apparently holding us hostage for more money. Like that's just not fun, or what the game should be about, but that's what's been created.
Okay, well, take a break. I want to make sure. I thought we mentioned this. We did, but during our 5th anniversary show Monday of this show, retired stockbroker, thanks for the super chat. Thought we mentioned that. Apparently we did. I don't know. I didn't think, but I want to make sure we did. Thank you, along with the ones we got from many others that day that we did mention. When we come back, Pat Smith, he could always kind of give us a great take, not a good take, a great take with insight from WJOX in Birmingham on what's the reaction in SEC country. That's next. This is 365 Sports. Petty Clinic, lowt.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be. When you get to be about 40, there might be signs of low testosterone. It's part of you just happen to be that percentage. 1 out of every 3 to 4 men have symptomatic issues of low testosterone, and maybe that is you or you or you. And if it is, if you're interested in that, low testosterone could mean you're lethargic. It could mean your focus is not the same. And oh, by the way, you've even gained a little weight and you're pretty active and have a great diet, or your sex drive is just not the same and you might even battle ED. It happens. Dr. Ken Petty can help you out. Contact them, pettycliniclowt.com. They will set you up to get an appointment to get your blood drawn, and they get the results. Dr. Petty will look at it, and if your testosterone level is too low, he can give you a program to help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, used to be at pettycliniclowt.com.
Start something new sales event at Allen Samuels in Waco. Get the new 2025 Jeep Compass for just $25,995, or the 2025 Dodge Hornet GT for only $28,995. Save 20% on the 2024 Jeep Gladiators for 2.9% for 72 months, and the Jeep Wagoneer Series 2 gets $11,000 in discounts plus 3.9% for 72 months. Only at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by, let's be friends.
I'll never get used to this.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow at GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
And around 4, what time will it be? I don't know exactly when, but we're going to update the leaderboard. I'll give you this. Right now, the Masters, as the second round wraps up in the next couple of hours or so, it is glorious, the names on the top of the board. Rose, DeChambeau, McIlroy bounced back from a disastrous ending yesterday. Corey Connors, who's a hot golfer. Hatton, there's Lowry, Hovland. Scheffler just had a couple of bogeys in a row, but there are some big names, and we will give a full leaderboard update when we get to that time here a little bit later on in the 4 o'clock hour. Joined by Pat Smith, WJOX in Birmingham, 3-man front. He joins us on 365 Sports. I did get, by the way, I got SEC Mike to text me back, Pat, but he just couldn't do it today. And we kind of know why, because of what's happening at Tennessee. What has been the reaction? You've got that heart and soul mothership in the middle of the SEC. What's been the reaction in the SEC country?
Well, it's funny because Alabama and Auburn fans, they love it. They love seeing another SEC program potentially burning to the ground with a starting quarterback. But then they pause for a second and they go, now, hold on a second. This could happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it almost happened to Alabama last year. You think about it. Jalen Milroe, he takes his team to the college football playoff. They lose to Michigan in the Rose Bowl. And then all of a sudden there's a new head coach at Alabama. And then it all says and goes, you know, he's wanting a lot of money to stay at Alabama instead of going into the transfer portal. And then Alabama paid him whatever was necessary for him to try to hold that roster together. And so now you've got Nico, all sorts of signs coming out of Tennessee this afternoon that nobody's heard from him. It's been all quiet. So the question is he going to show up tomorrow for the spring game, the orange and white game tomorrow at Neyland Stadium?
So this was always probably going to be the SEC, the testing ground for contract holdouts. I think it would be maybe different if this was happening a month ago or 6 weeks ago, as opposed to days before spring is over and the spring portal, which is much shorter, is open and available for people to get their commits.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. And think about this. If you think back when Nico originally signed his deal with Tennessee, or I should say the NIL cooperative at Tennessee, remember the NCAA was coming after them. And you remember what happened? The AG in the state of Tennessee, he sues the NCAA. And then that started a series of events where attorney generals from the states of Virginia and Tennessee and others said, okay, well, we're going to come after the NCAA as well. So once again, the NCAA loses in court because all those district and circuit court judges, they sided obviously with the player. So it's interesting because, you know, that was the canary in the coal mine, the Nico signing out of high school, the 3-year deal worth $8 to $9 million. We were all shocked by it. But basically Tennessee says, we're going all in and screw the NCAA. We're going to do what we want to do. You're not for the player. We are. We're moving forward. And so now it's that individual who was the test case in this whole situation with NIL could be bringing it down even further by him potentially walking out of an NIL deal that he had with the University of Tennessee. It is extremely fascinating, and the chaos just continues to reign before we get the House settlement.
And Pat, not really much in terms of options for Tennessee. I mean, to Paul's point a little bit, but on the roster, just 2 freshman quarterbacks, right? So, I mean, you talk about from a business perspective, brilliant move because you have literally all the leverage in the world, but at the same time, like how much bad business and burning bridges are you maybe creating at the same time? But yeah, I mean, they're in quite the pickle, aren't they? I mean, they've really got to be kind of holding their breath ahead of tomorrow.
Yes, and all indications from the people that I talk to up in Knoxville and Nashville, they tell me that Tennessee, as a university, as an athletic department, now Josh Heupel might feel a different way because he's the head coach, but I've been told that Tennessee's hell-bent, that Tennessee is not willing to go the $4+ million. That's the rumor. That's what people are saying that the Nico camp is wanting in regards to his services. Keep this in mind, guys. I know you're in Big 12 country, but you're as smart as anybody when it comes to college football rules and regulations. In the Southeastern Conference, they have a policy that you cannot transfer in the spring portal and go to another SEC school and play football in the fall. So if Nico does decide to leave, he can't go to an SEC school and play immediately. Most people think that he'll go to the West Coast, but then where does Tennessee go to get that quarterback? They would have to go outside the 16 schools in the Southeastern Conference to try to find somebody to fill that quarterback room. So that's another fascinating aspect to this, is because the SEC will not allow you to transfer. You can in the winter window. You can leave and you can move to another SEC school, no problem. But because of this window opening up on Wednesday, you cannot transfer within the conference and be eligible immediately. So that's another problem that Tennessee is looking at right now.
And that's an SEC rule. So can
Correct.
that be challenged by anybody, like everything else when it comes to players being held back?
Well, I guess you can. I mean, we live in such a litigious society now.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a player, so I think anything is questionable. But I will say this: the 16-member institutions of the SEC, they're pretty strong in regards to their policies and regulations. And listen, and nobody in the conference. Let's just say he goes in the portal. Now all of a sudden, you're not going to have Arkansas that is going to go and try to question Greg Sankey or the other 14 schools in the conference. That's just not going to happen. But that's one area that the SEC firmed up really early in this chaos, was that we're not going to allow this to happen within that spring window. If you're a football player, winter window, you can go move within the conference. That's no problem. But this time, Nico's going to have to go somewhere else outside the SEC.
Pat, yeah, he's going to have to go outside the SEC. Do you think, like my guess would be like somebody like USC is the one maybe pushing this a little bit. Do you think that that could include like finding the best D2 guy that's in the portal, or they've got to get somebody who can get them to probably about 9-3 so the fans don't get really mad at them. But I would think that the court of public opinion is on Josh Heupel and staff's side for at least a year.
Yeah, no, listen, based on the people that I talk to, and I trust big time up there in East Tennessee, they are saying every single moment that goes by and nobody hears from Nico, that he is losing the battle of public opinion. And we all know what happens when that takes place. It is going to be very difficult for him. We had a caller calling our show today, and they said, okay, hey, what if Nico is on the sideline of the spring game, but he's in street clothes? And I said, I don't think Tennessee would even allow him to do that. Now we're getting, it's NFL light. We've known this for years, but now you're getting holdouts for a spring game and trying to hold people over a barrel after you have a handshake agreement or an agreement with an NIL. I think Tennessee fans and other SEC fans, if it happened to Alabama, I could tell you, if it happened to Alabama last year with Jalen Milroe, because we asked the hypothetical question, we said, if this was Jalen Milroe last year, what would you do as an Alabama fan? And every single one of us, about 95% of the people that called in and texted us and tweeted at us, they told us we would tell him to pound sand and to leave. Like, we don't want that. And that's what you're hearing from Tennessee people this afternoon. Keep this in mind, guys. Last night, he was at his offensive coordinator's house having dinner with the rest of the offensive guys. And then all of a sudden, he does not show up to practice this morning, and nobody's heard from him as of about 30 minutes ago. So what kind of message are you sending to your teammates? What message are you sending to that very loyal fan base that fills that stadium over 100,000, no matter who you're playing? They help pay his NIL. So this is a bad look for him, bad look for the family. I think they have miscalculated this. Now, they can still consummate a deal, and he can still be the quarterback at Tennessee. He's a good quarterback. He's not a Heisman Trophy finishing quarterback, but he's a good quarterback who got him to the college football playoff. But this is just a fascinating test of what's going to happen moving forward.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I still think as much as everybody's freaking out, there's a great chance that tomorrow, like pro wrestling, the theme music hits, and here he comes running out.
Yes.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. I mean, you just kind of touched on it, but I mean, you saw a lot more of him than probably anybody in this room did. We watch a lot of college football, but you are geared more towards watching the SEC. So you kind of said it there, but how good of a player do you think he is at this point? And just kind of what did you make of the season that he had last year and thus carrying that importance into 2025 as well?
Well, it was interesting because when he went up against teams in the SEC that had more than decent defenses, he struggled at times. He threw for 2,600 yards, 19 touchdowns. I think he threw 5 interceptions last year. He was better than a managing quarterback. He didn't he's a big, tall, lanky guy. So, he's not running the football like a Jackson Dart or what Jalen Milroe did, or even Jackson Arnold when he was at Oklahoma before he transferred to Auburn. So he's not a running quarterback. I think what you saw with the Tennessee offense last year is they just did not have the wide receiver core that Heupel had in the years past. So he really couldn't run the type of offense that he had. And listen, we all saw just the absolute embarrassing performance that he and the rest of the Tennessee Vols had in the college football playoff. It embarrassed the rest of us in the Southeastern Conference, that performance in Columbus. So he is a good quarterback. I think that if he comes back to Tennessee, he's going to be one of the upper echelon guys in the conference. But, I'm definitely not buying any tickets for the Heisman Trophy candidacy if I'm a Tennessee Vol fan.
What a nugget you had a minute ago about that he was at his offensive coordinator's house with other players and teammates, and then this. Now, that we were wondering, because you wonder, how do teammates react to this? There's going to be some that are really tight with him. I mean, he's been the quarterback. And then again, you can eventually lose real estate, so to speak, when it comes to leadership. That's a great nugget.
And not to mention the fact, what's going to happen, guys, when you've got everybody else in that locker room that is going to take this situation and however it develops one way or another, that they're not going to use that for their own good moving forward, that they're not going to walk into their position coach, a wide receiver, and say, hey, coach, guess what? I had a great year and I've been tearing it up this spring and you need me this fall. Guess what? I want to renegotiate my deal. You did Nico. Why can't you do me?
Absolutely.
Everybody's for themselves now. And this is a very bad precedent. And to see how this works out, listen, we're all for chaos because I'm all for a great show on Monday. So let's go. Let's make it happen.
But Pat, you do bring up a good point. Like, there's 100+ guys in that locker room, all of whom will respond in their own way to this. And the best way to make sure your team is competing for conference titles, playoffs, and national titles is to have everybody walking in a straight line. Well, if he leaves or if they give him what he wants money-wise, whatever happens, that's probably fractured for good, but we just won't know the severity until the season starts.
Yeah, no. And listen, maybe the family believed that they had him over a barrel because with spring ending, with the very short window, as you mentioned before, that's about to open up on Wednesday, that Tennessee was going to have nothing, but they had to cut a deal with it, had to. And so maybe they just miscalculated this. But again, it can lead to a fractured locker room. It could lead to, obviously, a problem with your position coach and your head coach, who's an offensive-minded guy. This has just got disaster written all over it. So I'm going to be tuned in. And, I know the rest of us don't really tune into spring games anymore, but I'm definitely going to be paying attention to what's going on in Knoxville tomorrow to see if he shows up.
Pat, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yet another angle of covering today in college athletics, college football in this case with Tennessee. Pat Smith, co-host of Three-Man Front, also from the mothership at WJOX in Birmingham, Alabama. What a nugget the night before at the offensive coordinator's house with teammates. And now what do you think? Okay, we got a break coming up, but what happens tomorrow? What do you guys think, Craig?
I don't think he shows up.
I don't know. I'm part of. I always try to stay positive. So I think he does although I don't know if he does the whole pro wrestling intro, because as much of a pop as that would get, I think people would be on the team would be
like roll their eyes.
Yeah, like he doesn't deserve this, So the more I think about that, is like the most college football outcome would be like the music hits, and here he comes through the smoke in the tunnel, and everybody rejoices. I think now he's pissed a lot of people off. So that would be a mix, if anything, although probably leaning more towards celebration than booze. I think he doesn't show tomorrow. I think I'm starting to lean that direction.
If he doesn't show tomorrow, is he done?
I would have to think so, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the ultimate.
You're walking out on your teammates.
I don't think he's coming. I think if you do this, you have to be ready to walk.
And the reason you might be ready to walk is because you have offers on the table from schools you can transfer to for $3 or $4 million a year, right?
No. He just really likes those schools and their fabric, and it's nothing to do with money.
It's all about like the educational opportunities he would have at the other one.
It's the culture. It's the culture that he loves.
It's the culture.
It's just that
he's always really wanted to go to Team X, Y, and Z. it's just another craziness of what we cover every day. I got to tell you, this has been great for us. I don't like it, but this is what we have, and it's a discussion. It's a topic that we would not have had otherwise if they were just getting ready for a spring game.
I'm not going to take the moral high ground on it. I love it. I absolutely look, I saw this one today.
Yeah.
Nico Iamaleava. I mean, I love it. And look, I don't have any ill will towards Nico. I don't. But this is a very interesting, unique situation. And, let's talk about it and have opinions. I'm not going to get all Stephen A. and LeBron on him, but I do think that it's interesting and fun to kind of bat around a new situation.
It was going to happen eventually.
It was going to happen. It was going to happen. And, when you look at his, just the amount of money and the fact that, he triggered a court case that, really was that was the true bullet, that put down the NCAA and all their attempts at all these other things.
I don't know if he's on the Mount Rushmore, but he's definitely one of the faces of NIL, and he might be on the Mount Rushmore. I don't know. I don't have that put together.
Because the amount of money and the fact that, and this is why I think he's gone. The university, all the way down, president on down, the alumni, everybody went to bat for him, and every other athlete nationally with him as the avatar of that.
The Attorney General. Yeah.
The Attorney General, the state of Tennessee, went to bat for him. And look, as much as you might like to think these politicians are, really doing it because they believe in the ethics of it. No, the Attorney General of Tennessee was told by a bunch of the people who pay for Nico Iamaleava that, hey, buddy, you gotta shoot this down. And he knows he had a great chance of winning. All those people went to bat for him. And then he does this. There's no way I think you can walk back in that room. They're going to say, look, it's probably best because the trust is broken. And I don't think it can be repaired on the leadership. Yeah.
Never underestimate the impact of winning, though, Paul, in college football. A lot of stuff can go under the bridge if you can win football games. I saw somebody
say that, Craig, the other day. It might have been even last night on a Twitter timeline about this, is that no matter what,
if they think he can win them some football games and get them in the playoff, there will be more than enough people that will say, water under the bridge. We knew you always loved us, and this was just business. And whether that's right or not, eye of the beholder, I suppose. But, yeah, I definitely think there's a great chance that he's back there tomorrow. And you're asking for it's one or the other. So I guess I'll say, no, I don't think he shows, although I'm very torn on that. I don't feel strongly about that at all because I think – obviously, anything's possible. But, yeah, as much as there would be a mix of boos, I would think, for his triumphant return, there would be just as many, if not more people, elated because their national championship is still a possibility because the starting quarterback's going to be there for you.
Kim Coulter, I hope the kid stands his ground. Karma for the arrogance of college administrator all across America.
Yeah, hey, there's certainly that angle to take with it as well. Again, a lot of this is just chickens coming home to roost over decades of, the people in charge being able to milk this thing for all it's worth, and they don't like it. I think a lot of times when you hear some of these things planted, it's them trying to hold the narrative as best they can. But, yeah, they had 100% control, and they have at best 50, and it's not even that really. It's not even that at this point. I mean, how many cases they've lost, how many decisions have gone against them.
How about every one of them?
Yeah, so it's not even close to 50.
All right. I'm sorry. Paxton, he should be embarrassed. I wouldn't show up. From Barry Crawford, if winning mattered in the part about winning, BYU beating SMU should have had them in the playoffs. So thank you, Barry, for that. From General Ursus, who's the Tennessee fan who joined us today, before spring practice started, Nico took a few Tennessee wide receivers with him to L.A. to work out and do reps with each other. I've seen that happen before where quarterbacks will take players and they'll meet somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if Lincoln Riley, Paul, was watching from afar and made an offer then.
Yeah, they have Jade Mayaba, but he's not as good as Nico is, so that would not be a big controversy if you were to replace him. It would just be the timing of it all. The team that I see, and I don't know where it started, but is LA, but it's UCLA. That's the one that I see thrown around.
Well, his brother's going there.
So there you go. There's a logical connection.
His brother's going there. But to UCLA.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, his brother is going there.
The best part, and I don't know who's the one that put it in here. I don't want to, but it's like, can Tennessee just get a quarterback who we could pronounce his name right? Yeah.
John Smith.
Yeah. No, I really do think, because look, UCLA, I mean, they might have the money together to do all that, but they're still kind of reeling from their, and they've never, outside of basketball, really pushed football that hard.
Who, UCLA?
UCLA. They've never really
had
have.
history.
I thought you were going to say Tennessee. And I was like,
no. Like Tennessee would grind football into a powder, put it in little baggies, and sell it to people.
Or snort it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what they would do. No, but UCLA never really has. To me, I think that it makes sense that it's USC because they've maybe hit some desperate times because it hasn't worked out exactly as they wanted to.
Yeah, they've had a couple of years that didn't go well.
You're UCLA, and what you said is true, and so they need to show that they actually matter in football. So a way to do that would be to go steal a big-time playoff quarterback and bring him into the fold.
They had Terry Donahue for a while. There's been a couple of others, but when you think about the history of UCLA, there's some names that come up. But Gary Beeman was in 1967. Troy Aikman was in 1980s, late 1980s, and a few others.
Man, the Cade McNown erasure is kind of BS.
I can't believe I didn't bring him up. All right, we have much more to get to. What do we want to do next, guys? We're going to take a break here.
We've literally done zero headlines.
We got a couple more college football notes we'll get to. And then also a coach today in college football was fired, and it wasn't because of his 1-23 overall record. And there's much more to get to. Some basketball portal news. Texas Tech with yet another alpha on the campus this weekend in basketball. That and more. This is 365 Sports. The Baylor Club, just a mile or so from us, right off of where we are, I-35 and also MLK. Easter weekend coming up, not this weekend, but next, and they will cook your Easter meal dinner for you, whether it's for 4, 8, or a bunch of people. That's what they're going to do to make that available for you if you contact them and tell them how much you need to feed, how many people you need to feed, and they'll take away the stress of whether it's a ham, rack of lamb, a prime rib, and all of the other sides too. They will do that for you inside the Baylor Club with their chefs and also all of those who cook up such great food on an every night basis. Inside the Baylor Club, they'll have an Easter egg hunt and a few other things along the way between now and next weekend. Mike Bolson, the general manager, memberships available. Tell them you're a 365 Sports viewer, and you might get, I think that's still on the table, a $100 dinner or meal certificate. The Baylor Club, memberships available inside McLean Stadium off I-35.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. Don's Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions IT success guaranteed.
Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend's Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, a couple of other notes in sports. We normally do a pretty thorough 30 to 45 minutes or so of headlines. And, of course, the Nico story at Tennessee and all the reaction to it. And, thanks to Pat Smith for jumping on with us. But, I don't know. Did we not bring up Jackson Arnold recently just because of some schedules that we go through? But Jackson Arnold saying he wants to spend every minute he can be with the Auburn football wide receivers this summer, so much that he doesn't plan to attend the Manning Passing Academy. Honored to be invited, but Hugh Freeze, saying that Arnold didn't want to miss any kind of key time with the transfer from Oklahoma into Auburn, Alabama.
Throwing with his receivers on off time and the Manning Passing Academy, that is right there a spring football quarterback note. That is as spring football as it gets, Manning Passing Academy and throwing with your receivers. So, I think that's good, though, that he's, if that's really something he feels is going to be beneficial is skipping that event. I know that's something that a lot of guys look forward to and is a really great deal with a lot of big-time fellow current players and a lot of the big-time former players and stars that the Mannings bring along into the fold. So, that's kind of a sacrifice. It really is, because that's a big-time event that a lot of people enjoy. Especially if you're a big-time, prospect quarterback, starting quarterback in the SEC like he is. So, that's what you would want to hear. That's something that you would want to hear this time of year. So that's good.
Well, I was going to add another note to it. Go ahead.
Here's the deal. His wide receivers at Oklahoma were an issue. They couldn't keep anybody healthy.
Yeah, they had basically nobody healthy.
They didn't even they all basically all of them were hurt.
Yeah, and now they're all gone anyway, too. They left when he left, but for the most part. And he has got some really, really good ones there. Cam Coleman is a stud, just a true freshman last year.
Yeah, if he's not a first-round pick, then something went wrong.
Yeah. Eric Singleton comes in from Georgia Tech. He's a really good player. They've got depth there, so he'd be smart to spend as much time building chemistry with them as he can. And look, they also – here's the other thing he has to get good at. If Deuce Knight is as good as advertised and Jackson Arnold just is okay this year, then next year he's probably going to have to transfer again.
Yeah, he's a sophomore, right? He's got years left to wherever he wants to go if it doesn't end up going well.
No, he's
Auburn.
a junior.
Junior, okay, all right.
No, he's a junior.
Well, who knows what they are anymore?
Yeah.
Cam Coleman's a sophomore, so my NFL draft reference is not for next year, but just in general, if he's not a first-round pick, to be clear for anybody who caught that. But, he's a total stud, and they've got some other guys that'll be worlds better than what he was dealing with at Oklahoma. I don't think, obviously, that was the only problem at Oklahoma. He was definitely part of the problem himself, but there were various issues at play. That was just a funky season that left a bad taste in everybody's mouth, to the point where that team looks a lot different than it did a year ago. And the head coach is now very much firmly on the hot seat entering this season. So you hope it's greener pastures, because at this point, Jackson Arnold, for all his hype, which was equal to or similar to Nico or various other star quarterbacks we've seen over the last few years, he's not scratched the surface of the potential that was expected. So this is a big year for him to go out and show something, because, otherwise you're starting to have the conversation about overhyped and bust and things like that. But I think a change of scenery will do him good. Hugh Freeze is obviously a QB-friendly guy. So to have a Cam Coleman and the rest of that group around him, I think all signs point towards what should be a nice step forward for him as a player.
Justin Hawkinson, who writes for the On3 site that covers Auburn, had a note back in early April. Eric Singleton, you mentioned him as the receiver who transferred from Georgia Tech. It's definitely been a great battle between Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight. I don't know who the quarterback is going to be. So that was a note about how tight that competition might be. Another note about Jackson Arnold. He's very close, of course, still to where he was at Oklahoma. His girlfriend, Sky Marshall, attends OU and will be at the Auburn-OU game in Norman on September 20th and will be wearing the Auburn colors, even though she's a student, of course, at Oklahoma. So that'll be kind of an interesting note there. What's going on, Paul, with Kent State? They have fired their head coach, Kenny Burns.
Kenny Burns had some off-the-field issues, which I think are still completely not reported. He had some sort of debtor issue that he had some unpaid debt and something where he wound up in court for that. And there's some other things going on that I'm not sure about. But
what about 1-23?
I was going to say they suck.
Ken say he's 1-23 in his 2 years there. So I think when you have off-field problems and then you're also not good on the field, you makes them go, why are we putting up with this guy? Like, how are we going to get better with him? So Kent State looking for a new coach, and the most recognizable name that is going to throw his name into that here is Josh Cribbs, who is an alum,
former running back,
wide receiver, you're running back in the league, kick returner for the Browns.
He was at Auburn?
Josh Cribbs was at Kent State.
Okay,
and he played for the Browns.
Who was Joe Cribbs? Wasn't he the one that went to
maybe. I don't know. Like, that name doesn't even sound familiar to me.
Yeah,
But
it does.
but Joshua Cribbs, he played at Kent State.
I bet Joe Cribbs is 60-plus years old. Watch.
Yeah.
I will
watch. Is he?
Yeah.
See, that's why you think.
Is he alive?
Wait a minute. There is a Joe Cribbs.
Is he alive?
He's 67.
Okay, so he's alive.
He went to Auburn, played, I think, with the Bills, and he had a good career at Auburn. I'm sorry. You guys are not.
You didn't answer the question that he's alive. He's alive, right?
Yes, he's 67. If he was dead, he wouldn't be 67.
Okay, Joshua Cribbs. Joshua Cribbs is going to throw his name in the hat. Who knows if they do, but the offensive coordinator is now the interim coach. So if you're 1-23, you're going to get fired the next year anyway. But if you're 1-23 and don't have your life together, maybe the school's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, to the Cribbs thing, he is the nephew apparently of Josh Cribbs is the nephew of Joe, so there is that connection to try and save some face there. But I think
Gary,
first
can you
of all,
mute those two real quick?
I think first of all, the program's just not good. I mean, they're the worst program in the country at that level. They are the worst. So you can start there, but then you add in all of what are apparently still some murky legal issues. Then, I mean, I don't think there's really a whole lot that needs to be explained by Kent State side, and they even referred reporters to previous stories about what was going on. Is like, hey, here, it's already out there. Like, if you want to know why here you go. There's plenty of stories about issues we've been facing. So, not a story I paid a lot of attention to, but I hear Kent State and I immediately think, worst team in the country last year. So not a total surprise, but add in legal stuff, and that's a recipe for losing your job. Absolutely.
No, 1-23. And sometimes you're so bad, coach going 1-23 is still at least possibly building towards something.
I think Texas Tech plays them this year. I mean, and that they got a pretty manageable non-con that we talked about when we were doing their schedule. We've done the Big 12, right? Is that who we started off with?
Yeah, we started with Big 12.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's something I would ask.
Well, I'm just making sure
we did. You did.
that we haven't.
We're never going to finish the ACC because of me, but yes.
Probably not. But, they play Tech in week 2. They play Florida State. They play Oklahoma.
Jeez.
They play – I mean, the rest of the teams are, like MAC schools and stuff, but – I mean, they play those 3. Those jump off the page as far as their non-con go in Lubbock, in Tallahassee, and in Norman. So Florida State can get halfway to last year's total, at least with that game for sure. And Oklahoma, maybe that's what gets them over the top as well. You would hope to not just mustering out a bowl game, but that looks like it's shaping up to be another very painful season, especially when you're making a coaching change in mid-April.
Garrett, let's do the Washington State basketball player note. Lawan Watts began his weekend visit to Texas Tech. This is from Austin Massey. Averaged 14 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal per game. A versatile forward player. visiting Tech. Now, that's one of the notes about him visiting. And then Fran Fraschilla with a note. He goes, I used to hate to see guys transfer, but it's a new world. Saw him play in person in December. Of course, Fran with ESPN, and he is a great fit for Texas Tech. Identical version of Darian Williams, who's in the portal. High character, great family story.
Yeah, I hope they can get him to replace Darian Williams. That would be great. I'm still curious as to what happens with Darian Williams.
I was going to say, is the writing on the wall there?
Yeah, I mean, is
it for sure he's gone?
Well, Toppin hit about the same time. Toppin went in the portal. He came back. There's the number like around 4 million or so. He's back. Williams went in at about the same time, and it's been a couple of days. Nothing's happened.
The rumor there is BYU is very hot and heavy with Darian Williams.
I mean, they're having a great run.
Yeah, they are. So, I mean, I guess that's what's in play. I haven't kept close tabs on the moving parts of all that, so I didn't know how much of a foregone conclusion it was that he's out the door, but I guess it seems like he probably is.
All right.
So that would be a good replacement.
Yeah.
So, yeah, therefore that would be – looks like if Fran Fraschilla is saying that, then I'll default to him that would be a good replacement for Grant McCaslin and the Red Raiders.
All right, a couple of administrative notes, or for coaches and administrators. Graham Rossini, remember, he hasn't been at Arizona State very long. He has now signed a contract extension through 2030. I actually traded a couple of emails with the media relations director at Arizona State. We always seem to go back and forth and pushing our timeline, but with a lot that's going on when they had to replace the women's basketball coach and all that goes on in the month of April, Graham Rossini, I'm going to pretty much bet on it that we'll have him between now and the time at the end of the school calendar year.
Well, he inherited a program that was an absolute dumpster fire, an athletic department, I should say, because of really the program being football being such a mess and all that was going on there with Herm Edwards and NCAA violations and Jaden Rashad, like all this stuff. And to the point where guys, they were the clear number 4 of the Pac-12 editions a summer ago. Like, it wasn't even close.
Question.
They were I guess we'll take Arizona State as well. That's a cool place to go, was kind of the thought process. And a sleeping something, I don't know about giant, but definitely a school that could pump out more than it has if it's got the resources and the right people in charge, which they clearly did not before they entered the Big 12. But now it seems like they've got a great football coach. They've got an incredible quarterback. They made that hire of, Molly Miller for women's basketball. That at least get people excited initially. She seems like she's a good coach. I think Arizona State has maybe found a little bit of a sweet spot because of the fact they finally have hit on the right leadership group, which is very important.
They have stability.
Yeah.
It looks like they have stability. Rossini, that contract extended into 2030.
Yeah, here's the problem is they had a president, or they still do. I mean,
he's still there.
Anywhere, but they had one that didn't give a crap about sports at all, and then bought into some faulty numbers thrown about how much the Pac-12 was worth. And then when they had to change conferences because of people like his leadership in the Pac-12, he had to eat a ton of crow.
That's his name.
Yeah, I know. He had to really, really change and go, hey, maybe I should care. Maybe
that's amazing.
Maybe there's something to this bouncy, throwy, runny thing.
That's amazing you say that, because when I think of Arizona State, and I know that they have been through it, but my God, they used to have a deep, successful athletic program across the board.
And to his credit, Arizona State, for a lot of people in the Pac-12, was the joke of they were the safety school. Like, that was everybody used to go in there. And Bart Crow did a great job of, elevating their academic profile really, really high. So it's not what it used to be in the 80s and 90s, where it's like Arizona State was like, yo, hey, we're college.
School.
Yeah, it's Playboy school. It's different now. But while he was doing that, you have to have a well-rounded approach to your university, and athletics, in spite of how great your university is, at a school like that, in a place like that, athletics is the front door. You've hosted the Super Bowl on your campus 6 times, back in the day. So
national championships
and all these things that you've had on your campus. Sports is a big deal in Phoenix, Arizona, and you need to make sure that you are a representative of that. And they weren't.
It is. Pro sports there is a big deal too. Also, Tommy Lloyd, remember he was at Gonzaga, took the job, what's it been, a couple of years ago? His contract, of course, this is all from the Arizona Board of Regents. The state itself goes now through 2030, and Arizona has been a great addition. Football was a down year, disappointing year, but basketball, they met the expectations that most people had.
Yeah, I mean, he's been at Arizona for a handful of years now at this point. So he's done a good job, made the tournament 4 out of the 5 years, or all 4 years that he's been there. So they've been a steady presence in my lifetime as a college sports fan, particularly basketball, not so much on the football side, although they've had moments here and there, Desert Storm back in the day and all that. But yeah, I mean, they need to step their game up a bit on the gridiron. That's for sure. That was surprisingly disappointing last year, how not good they were as a unit, given what they had coming back. But that was just a miscalculation, and maybe it's not the right coach. We'll see. Brent Brennan can go and prove that this year, and he's definitely going to have to prove that to save his job. I don't think they go another year like that without making a change, because they really can't afford to fall that far back, especially if Arizona State's on the other side, making the college football freaking playoff, winning the Big 12, and they were picked last. And they're doing all that. Like, you need football to step its game up. But on the hardwood, that's where you first go with Arizona. They proved their mettle. They were a great part of the league and give you just another contender in March to maybe go raise that trophy at the end. So, yeah, I thought that they brought it in basketball as you hoped and expected they would. And now they just need to hope that the football side can bring a little bit of what Tommy Lloyd's brought to the hoops program.
Yeah, when Arizona was added, you already had just added University of Houston. BYU, of course, stepped up, and they're stepping up. The basketball part of it was those who entered the conference, man, a hell of a bunch of good players and teams so far. Now, Jalen Pitre. Remember about a month or so ago, we had Terrell Bernard, former Baylor linebacker, who got a big contract with Buffalo. And I wondered about this because Pitre, when John McClain's joined us, he's a beloved player down in Houston. Today, he gets a 3-year, $39 million deal. And according to various and John McClain, he is now at least in the top 5, if not the highest paid nickel defensive back or nickel corner in all of pro football.
That's awesome. Go get your money, King. He deserves it. He's been really, really good for them. I mean, he had his second year was a little bit down, but he dealt with injuries. When he's in the lineup, they're much, much better. And they've got a really fun secondary, really tough secondary, really good defense.
Stingley got the big
if they can figure out how to pass block for CJ Stroud, that team could
that's interesting
finally
since
make
they gave
a run.
That's interesting because they had Tunsil, who's a really good pass blocker.
Yeah, well, they have a new offensive line coach. They have a new offensive coordinator. They have all these things. So we'll see what happens with the Texans this year. I'm in kind of wait and see mode. Like I know that they can, kind of scrap their way to 10 wins like they did a year ago. But if they make the necessary improvements that they need, then I think they're going to be very, very good next year.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, the timing of he and Bernard both, given they're basically like a couple, coming out at the same time, winning the Big 12, being the faces of that team, among others, getting drafted, side by side to be getting contracts the same offseason that are big deals is awesome. And, yeah, I think the only thing really holding Jalen back is just maintaining his health. I think that's the big question with him. But outside of that, you like what he brings as a player. There might be a thing here or there to his game that's not like obviously super high level or whatever, areas where he can improve just like anybody else. But I think the biggest hurdle for him is definitely the health side. So if he can keep that under control and be out there, then he's going to, be playing for a long time and making more money. And to see him get this big deal, that's generational wealth for anybody. And so for he and his family, what a great day. For Terrell Bernard and his family a few weeks ago, what a great day. And just so happy for those guys, and so happy to see guys who don't just – because, man, I could count on – I would need multiple hands to count the number of guys, whether it's that program in Baylor or just other programs where you've had 20 guys drafted and none of them signed like a big second contract. And so to have – especially for a program that has not produced a ton of guys who stick in the NFL, and you have to go, oh, well, John Weeks, the long snapper, has been around for 20 years. It's like, okay, that's great, but like who else? Well, Mike Singletary was really great. Okay, well, who else? Like modern day, who's hung around and made it? Not Lake Seastrunk, not Corey Coleman, not these guys who were big stars in college, not RG3. But these two have now, and that's awesome to see, and that's great. And you know what? Ross Matisick's going to be around like John Weeks for probably 20 years as a long snapper. So that team between Bernard, Pitre, Matisick, I think you're going to have a trio of guys for the next several years, God willing, will be making great money and making an impact in the league. And they've never had a combination that I can think of like that.
No.
So that's awesome.
I used to, when we watched them, and I just used to be so amazed at how fast and unique and they literally like a couple of bullets coming out of a gun, and so many. When they both would bring pressure, every fan base of a team you like has had players that have been obviously Hall of Famers or whatever. Not sure. These guys are just damn good football players, and look at it. They haven't been able to replace them. Matt Jones was good. No one has been as good as those two, and again, that's hard to do when both of them now getting the bag, so to speak, the contract extensions and money. Good for them. We will have Art Strickland around the corner. He's at Augusta National. It has been one hell of a day. I mean, it has been.
So based on what I've seen, you guys suck at picking teams. I should have picked this year, I guess. I should have at least made it interesting for Rob Bolton.
Wait a minute. You cannot criticize if you're not included.
I went out a winner. So I'm like on the Hall of Fame committee now.
Yeah,
like on the judging committee.
What are you over there saying?
That's true. No,
it's been a bad week for you guys.
It's been a bad week.
No,
it has.
It has been an awful week because I got freaking Lucas Glover, who was supposed to, like, that's Rob Bolton's fault.
Well, and look, Brooks Koepka was 8th on his power rankings, and I picked him.
All right, Emery's done
Robert
here.
McIntyre. Emery, Seb Straka rallied today. He was the problem yesterday, but it's Zalatoris that was.
Zalatoris is done, right?
Okay, yeah, he was.
Yeah,
at
he's
14.
8 over. He's done.
He's done. Okay, good deal. So, congratulations, Rob.
Oh, we're not having him on again.
He's won now,
no,
right?
He's
already?
done. Well, because 4 teams, every one of his players, probably because they broke rules on the golf course, are going to make the cut. And Paul and I, who's the guy got you? Koepka? Was Koepka the one that missed a cut?
Koepka and McIntyre got me.
Remember, I was going to take Koepka. And McIntyre, the lefty. Another one of those that a lot of the analysts said because he's a lefty and the way the lefties are starting to play well at Augusta National. Then Emery was Zalatoris. And I had Lucas Glover, I think, is dead last. Or is he?
No, there's a dude that shot at 90 today.
Yeah, Dunlap is 14 over. Yeah, Glover ended up
90?
Yeah, no, he had a
here's
he
thing.
did not have one for anyone that plays golf. He shot 90. Most everybody in the chat room can relate to that at some point. He shot a 90 without one 3-putt. So he had to have hit a bunch of like hazard
OBs and
yeah.
I haven't played golf in a very long time, and I've never played Augusta National. But I do know that when I was playing golf, I was breaking 100 quite a bit, and if I played often enough, I know I could break 90. And that's actually the fact that this guy is out there playing Augusta shooting a 90 has made me feel better about myself than anything ever. Or at least if I decided to pick up golf again, that I'm not that far away from having fun if I figure it out.
I bet that some of us would not break par. I mean this. If we just placed the ball on every green, don't have to hit a driver, iron, or approach shot. You place the ball on every green, and that would be your first stroke of that hole, that we wouldn't break par.
Well, yes, I'm just saying.
Because we have no idea.
Here's the thing about the 90 at Augusta. It's the record worst round at Augusta ever for a PG. Now, listen, I'm sure that there's some stuck-up billionaire member that's shot like 120 there before. But again, that's a different thing. They live in a different world. But for an actual PGA pro to shoot 90 at Augusta, I mean, that just...
University of Alabama. He's won twice on the PGA Tour. So this isn't just some hack, but he had himself a bad day.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about a guy in just a second. You'll see why this is related. But we were talking about Cody Campbell got brought up on the show yesterday. Has anybody coined the nickname Double T-Boone? Like the double T of Texas Tech.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody, that popped in my head yesterday, and I wrote down a note of like, oh, that's a fun nickname.
Really good.
Double T-Boone. But the reason why I bring that up, where's Aberg, the Texas Tech star? Oberg, sorry.
Okay, he was in the middle of the mix.
He's
a stud, right?
He was 4 under yesterday.
But isn't he like one of the next great
No,
golfers?
there was a picture of him. Katie Rader, in fact, sent me a picture of his golf bag while he was in the fairway or whatever, and he's got the Texas Tech logo.
He's 3 under. He's 3 under after 2 rounds. He just 1 over today.
He is the smoothest. Like, you talk about somebody who doesn't sweat, who has a heartbeat of what would you say, a pulse of about 50.
Mm-hmm.
He is just as cool, calm, and collected. But today he's kind of hit not the skids, but he has not been able to make up for a lot of the others who have made themselves right in the mix. I'll tell you what, I've been watching it as we're on the air here in the studio, and number 15, I think it is 13 or 15, a lot of the players are hitting the ball in the creek. I mean, Scheffler hit it in the creek.
Watch out for the guy peeing.
Yeah, this is 13. Spieth was in the creek. A lot of players have been in the creek, but Scheffler ends up chipping up about a couple of feet away to save par. So he is fine. All right, when we come back, Art Strickland is at Augusta National covering the Masters. He will be next. And this is, and we appreciate your time, please click the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't, 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac are the people that you can count on for all of your automotive needs. It's springtime, everybody kind of stretching their legs, getting out of winter and fall and wanting to go on road trips and be with the family. And if you're doing that, or if you're just wanting to get around town, you want to be in something that you're comfortable with driving and something that's not giving you constant problems. And maybe it's just time for a new car. I was there a couple years ago, and maybe you're there right now. Maybe you don't even need a new one. You just want a new one. Regardless, they have got what you want over at Richard Carr, Buick, GMC, Cadillac. They've been serving Central Texas for nearly 3 decades, and they are celebrating currently with anniversary sales savings like money off 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 SLE and SLT models in stock. Qualified buyers can save $8,750, nearly $9,000 off the 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 SLE and SLT models. They also have the Buick lineup of vehicles. You can save $4,500 on a new 2025 Buick Encore GX, $750 on a 2025 Buick Envista, and there's various other options as well. The Envista, for what it's worth, named the 2024 Car and Driver's Editor's Choice. So there's just some of the vehicles that you can check out and save thousands on right now over at Richard Carr. They've got pre-owned vehicles as well. So take advantage of these anniversary savings and go do business with people that you can count on, locally owned, locally run, and again, celebrating nearly 3 decades, 26 years to be exact, in business here in the Waco area. Deal with people you can count on at Richard Carr, Buick, GMC, Cadillac.
Alan Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget, from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Alan Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560, or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Want to send a message to the show? Jump in the Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue chat room.
Art Strickland has a very difficult job. By the way, Art of Golf, he sets up great trips to Augusta National, to the Open Championship, and other places around the country to go play golf. Good friend of ours, Art Strickland, joins us from Augusta National. Art, I got to tell you, I know that there are a lot of names that miss the cut, but this might be one of the most glorious leaderboards I've seen in a long, long time. They went low. A lot of people did, even though I've seen balls in the creek, etc. What kind of roars have there been today at Augusta National?
Well, Smokey, that's one of the great things about Augusta. You can hear the roars echoing through the pines. Some great ones. I mean, obviously, Jordan, Scotty hits it in the bushes on 12 behind the green. It magically kicks out of the bushes, and he chips it in for 2 when he could have made 5 on that hole. Throwing in shots, Justin Rose could be the second oldest player ever behind Jack Nicklaus when throwing in some great shots. There is no bad Masters. I can promise you that. But this sets up to be a glorious Masters weekend.
With Rory rallying, you've got Scotty Scheffler at the top. You've got DeChambeau. Oh, yeah, DeChambeau, who's playing well. The PGA, I know that not all these guys are PGA players when you talk about Bryson, but this is something, especially given all the turmoil off the course, it's got to be really good for him, Art.
Oh, I think so. And I think we may have discussed last year after the Open at Pinehurst, Bryson DeChambeau has single-handedly rehabilitated his image and really turned it 180 degrees. And if any athlete or any player wants to know how to, rehab their image, just study Bryson. I don't know if you caught him coming off 18 today. He's shaking every hand. He's high-fiving players. Just incredible what he's done. And, I think his quote the first time he saw Augusta National, he said, "This is a par 68 for me as far as I hit it." And he was proven wrong. And so he has come back with more respect, come back with a less aggressive, more, conservative game plan. And so great. Rory's left for dead yesterday. Double bogey on 15 and 17, comes back 66. He's in the mix. Now he's in the mix for more heartache. Well, that's very possible. But he's in the mix. Scotty's right there. Justin Rose not going away. Really, really good times there. We haven't even got to the number of egg salad beverages bad since I've been here.
Well, I bet you've had that. And Paul, how do I pronounce pimiento?
It's pimento.
Pimento salad.
It's a really...
Hey, Art, on Scheffler, by the way, if you and I are playing or anyone watching this show and you pull it left on 12, it gets stuck up in the leaves and the junk. And, of course, Scotty, it rolls right back down. Nice slide, then he chips it in. Pretty amazing. I have seen a lot of guys missing the green short, which happens based on the gust of wind and whatever else on 15 or 13. There's been a bunch of that. Is there a player that you would have like lost your home and maybe vehicles that you guaranteed would make the cut that stunned you that did not? There may be 4 or 5, but anyone in particular?
Yeah, I really think Will Zalatoris is surprised me. Will plays really good on hard golf courses. Proved that at Pinehurst last year. Proved that a lot of places. And Augusta's as hard as they come with the greens and with whatever. I really thought Will Zalatoris could play. Now, is his back still hurting him? Yeah, we won't know that. He didn't play in Houston, San Antonio. He did not play last year in the Nelson. Don't know if he'll play this year. So maybe his back's still bothering him, but surprised me that he hasn't done it. Looks like John Rahm is going to scrape by and make the cut, but certainly for a guy who is at the very top of the golf pyramid before he took the money from Live Golf and has really just disappeared off the face of the earth, the golfing earth. I think he's going to scrape by and make it, but that surprised me that John Rahm is really not a factor any longer.
John Rahm and Koepka, Koepka didn't make it either. And
8 on 18.
Yeah.
He what? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
he had an 8?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm getting the sense that a lot of these live guys are now, especially with this strife. Koepka in particular has kind of been vocal about it, that like it didn't really make them better golfers. It made them more money. It caused a lot of strife. And now with it looking like it's not going to go the way of them ever merging the way that they thought, are having some regrets about maybe their legacy in golf.
I think so. I think Rahm, if he was honest, he would tell you that. I mean, John Rahm really was he wins the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines and, is really at the top and, talks about his legacy. And then, I'm not going to sit here and say he shouldn't have taken $400 million or $600 million or wherever he got him. Who am I to say that? But, yeah, I just think that, really, Scotty Scheffler could have taken a ton of money. He did not. Tiger Woods turned down $1 billion, if you believe some of the reports. He hasn't, did that. So I think that's the case. But we're getting to see all the players together this week. And, Bryson, who, got money from Webb, obviously, but has really rehabilitated himself and is really one of the most popular guys there. And if you want to see the most complaining today, probably he wasn't included in the featured group that Augusta National puts out every day. So, good for Bryson rehabilitating his image, but great for us watching the Masters. Weather's been perfect. Tuesday, I had some guys down from Philadelphia with the Art of Golf Travel, and last time they were here, they said they bought tickets for $5 at the front gate. Had guys from Philadelphia. Weather's perfect Tuesday. Weather's perfect Wednesday, Thursday, and another glorious day of weather at Augusta. So, can't ask for more than that.
So, of the players at the top of the leaderboard, I'm going to go down with Rose has won a major. Obviously, DeChambeau, McIlroy, who's never won Augusta. We know that story. So his collapse at the end of the round yesterday to bounce back the way he did says mentally that he's in a good place. Scheffler, Lowry won the Open Championship. Jason Day's won a major. So you've got a lot of guys. Oberg didn't have the best round, but he's there. And, of course, a lot of people feel like he's next in line. Matsuyama, nice round. Reed, Schauffele. There's a bunch of guys, Art, that are a part of the top 15 or so right now that have majors as they enter the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Augusta traditionally draws the highest golf rankings of the year, regardless who's on the leaderboard. But I would suspect that CBS is probably high-fiving each other right now. Because if this keeps up for the weekend, and it appears it will, I think you're going to have monster ratings for both Saturday and Sunday. And, we'll see what happens. I picked Scotty Scheffler before the week started, and I bet a guy down at River Hill in Kerrville that Scotty would finish ahead of Rory every day this week. And I'm getting ready to be 2 for 2 on that. So I'm hanging in with Scotty right now.
All right. DeChambeau spends enormous amount of time. And I watch the Golf Channel. I have it on kind of like as background video while I'm working in the evening. He spends an inordinate amount of time, and he's not doing that for show. He is the ultimate tinkerer, right? Trying to find the right driver head and the perfect, flawless type of way he can hit his irons, correct?
That's correct. And he's the mad scientist. He
There you
really
go.
is.
Yeah.
And that's what makes golf interesting, Smokey, is that it doesn't work for other people. Some people, Freddie Couples, $70 steroids would have been driven crazy by doing that. They were the ultimate field guys. Lee Trevino, same way. But that works for Bryson DeChambeau. He's a tinkerer. He's always looking, what can I do to make my game better? And he wants to know what I can do. And that works for him, obviously, and it's going to keep working for him. And would not surprise me at all, really, to see him in a green jacket on Sunday afternoon. Won the Open, and won the Open at Winged Foot, won the Open at Pinehurst. Two very, very difficult golf courses. So to win the Masters at Augusta National, another extremely difficult golf course, that would fit right into his scenario.
Art, a couple more questions. One, how many egg salad sandwiches or any of those $1.50 or $3, whatever they charge this year, how many of those sandwiches have you had today alone?
Well, let me tell you what I had for lunch, Smokey. I had a sandwich, I had a Coca-Cola, I had a bag of chips, I had a peach ice cream sandwich, and I had a Masters moon pie. And you know what else I had after that? I had change from my $10 bill.
Isn't that nuts? That's nuts.
That's just what they do here, and it's incredible. And I don't know. They may be listening to this interview, and I may get cut off, but I'm not a big fan of minute cheese.
No, okay.
I'm really not.
Listen.
I love egg salad.
Yep.
And I had one for breakfast the other day just because I could.
Yeah.
I actually love them both. And if they did some sort of combo, I would even try that.
No, you would
not.
not.
Yeah, I would.
Egg and pimento.
Listen, if you don't say pimento right, I'm going to slap the crap out of you.
All right. Nico Iamaleava.
Golly. No. Hey, Art, Justin Rose has one major win. He's got one U.S. Open. He's had two second places at the Masters. He's very well liked as a golfer, and he's probably the best golfer there is out there without a bunch of majors. He's always plays well. He's got a lot of wins across tours and all that. Yeah, it would be amazing if he could hold on here, but it is, the amount of people nipping at his heels is really, really crazy, but he would be a great story too.
Oh yeah. You've got on smarter bettors than me, obviously, but I would have loved to see the odds of him before the tournament started on Thursday. I would imagine you could have gotten some great odds on Justin Rhodes winning the Masters. Very unexpected, but he's a world-class player. He won at Marion. Speaking of tough courses, Marion, Philadelphia is one of the toughest there is.
Mm-hmm.
He won there with a 1 over par winning score. So he's expert at tough courses, 44 years old, played in 17 Masters, and this major, more than any other major, rewards experience. And that's why I wouldn't pick Ludwig. As good as he is and as sound he is, this major rewards experience. And that's what Justin Rose, and that's what Rory, that's what Scotty all have going for him for the weekend.
Yeah, Mickelson, by the way, looks like he's got to finish, but he started, of course, outside what would have been the cut line or is the cut line. He's got it down to 1 over as he goes to 15. Has it been kind of wind gust? Has it been one of those dicey? Because a lot of guys are going low, Art, but yeah, you're still, because it's Augusta National, going to get on the wrong side of the slopes, etc. Is it been, you mentioned the weather, but how about the wind gust and what's expected for the weekend?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, the wind has picked up this afternoon. The guys that went out this morning, Rory obviously played early this morning. It was a lot calmer conditions than it is right now. if you're watching on TV, you can see the flags are really blowing. You know, Langer, who barely missed the cut by one shot at age 67, you could see the wind was really blowing his shirt coming up 18. So for the weekend, supposed to be still nice, no rain in forecast, and the winds are not going to be. I think this probably will be the hardest it blows all weekend. But as they say, things could change on the weather front.
Yeah, you can go, by the way, a couple of things. Art on Twitter, at Art Strickland, Stricklin. That's also his website, The Art of Golf Travel. And he does a great job of putting together the trips, as you mentioned, with people at Augusta, not to play it, but to be there and other great courses. What's your next big trip, Art?
Well, we've sold out trips both to Scotland and Ireland. Going to Scotland next month, playing Muirfield and Dornoch, some of the greats, old course, and then we're going to Ireland and playing Portrush 3 weeks before the Open. But those are all sold out. So we've got some great trips to the Ryder Cup in September. Ryder Cup's going to be at Bethpage Black, and all these great players, you know, Justin and Scotty and Bryson, they're all going to be there. So going to the Ryder Cup, we're going to stay and play golf one day, and then we're going to Sand Valley in Wisconsin. And great track there in September. So all the details are on theartofgolftravel.com, and love to have you guys join us.
Thank you, Art. Appreciate it as always, Art. Strickland, during the majors, joins us based on the timing of overseas. It's more difficult, but he is inside Augusta National. You may go, wait a minute, you're not allowed to use cell phones. He's a media member, so he's inside of the media room. Now, let's do a few nuggets on the Masters. All right, you remember we mentioned Scotty Scheffler, right? He had like Texas T-bone steak. He had chili. He did a lot of great meals. Okay, if in fact you won the Masters, and this is for the chat room too, or you could do it on Twitter, include me if you want, or at 365 Sports YT. If you won the Masters and the next year you had to put together the Champions Dinner menu, what would be your appetizer? What would be the main course? You could usually have a couple of different options. What would be your sides, and what would be your dessert?
All right, well, we're starting with some charbroiled oysters. We're going to go Cajun. I think that's probably the best for everybody. So we're going to have some charbroiled oysters. And I like to keep a unique menu throughout the meal, like, you know, a through line. So I'm not going to go Cajun and Italian and French and, you know, Mexican and all that.
Well, it depends on where you're from.
But, yeah, but no,
like
I'm
a
not,
Spaniard's going to,
Yeah, but I also, like, you know, I'm just going to pick something that I'm going to enjoy. Because, look, the champ pays for it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So since I'm paying for it, I'm going to pick some things. So you'll have, and then we maybe have like a gumbo or something. But then for the main course, I'm going to have, like a nice like steak with some like, you know, lobster mashed potatoes or something like that. That's got some Cajun feel to it. And then for dessert, maybe a lovely bread pudding.
Oh, bread pudding. You know, I don't eat that a lot, but when I see it available,
but I guess
do.
they probably do have to have like a steak, chicken, and fish option, which chicken and fish gives you a ton of options inside the Cajun milieu.
Craig, are you going to respond to this one?
I'll respond by saying I don't have anything in mind like Paul did right there off the top. I mean, I'm going through some things in my head, but I don't have like a.
Here's what Scotty Scheffler's been. Okay. His appetizers were cheeseburger sliders and firecracker shrimp, which I love.
That works for me,
shrimp. Papa Chef's meatball and ravioli bites. His first course would be Texas-style chili. This is after the appetizers, and of course it would be Texas chili, cheddar cheese, jalapenos, and corn chips.
Are there beans? No, Texas chili, right?
Yeah, it's Texas chili. Wouldn't be any ground beef, etc., whatever. The main course,
ground beef and juice.
Yes, that's what it really is. It's very runny in most places. Wood-fired cowboy ribeye or blackened redfish.
Yeah, okay.
And family-style macaroni and cheese, jalapeno cream corn.
Family style is a good call.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Soy-glazed Brussels sprouts, chipotle lime roasted sweet potatoes.
I don't like any of what you just said, so I wouldn't go for that. But
I do.
I love Brussels sprouts when they're charred.
Yeah. Steven Simcox and I talked about this on Wednesday on Triple Option. I do love that Scotty Scheffler's idea of the most badass meal you can serve is like the fancy version of what you can get at BJ's.
Like Texas Roadhouse or something.
Yeah, like if you look at the menu, like it's all stuff like if you went to like if it was your birthday at BJ's and you brought like 20 people and you're like, we're gonna have a blast, get whatever you want, like sliders, boom, ravioli things, do that. And he's like, you know what? I want that.
It's a very Texas meal.
But I want a guy in a chef's hat who went to the Sorbonne to cook it for me.
Cheese sticks, but it's like fancy cheese put together. By the way, did y'all know Texas Roadhouse is like the #1 chain restaurant in America now?
I would not be surprised. The other day, I had been craving their bone-in ribeye. You went out of town, and I said, what the hell? I'm going to Texas Roadhouse. And I sat there. I didn't get much of the side. I had a baked potato. And I had their bone-in ribeye, and I enjoyed every bite of it.
I read a story that they had surpassed Olive Garden.
Wow.
As the #1, like, I guess, most popular chain restaurant now in America. So I found that interesting.
The hardest part of the rolls, and they have that, what is that butter that they have?
Cinnamon butter.
Cinnamon butter that's just, you could just like stick your face in it. The dessert, okay.
I, for one, am glad that the charlatans at Olive Garden have finally been given their comeuppance.
Yes.
It is absolute garbage. It is
Italian
hot,
man here.
mushy garbage and should not be
They have
allowed
some pretty good
to
shrimp pasta I've had there.
be called Italian food.
Food snob.
Yeah, it's absolutely not.
I guarantee like 70% of our audience probably loves Olive Garden.
I'm sure they do, but 70% of our audience hasn't had real Italian food. Then,
oh my God!
Because honestly, I mean, like I'm surprised they don't serve it in a wet paper sack.
I mean, I haven't been to one in years, but I didn't say this to like trample over Olive Garden. Thanks to our new sponsor, Olive Garden, by the way. You can get breadsticks galore there. But I meant it more because I was just surprised. Texas Roadhouse, that was surprising me. Continue on with Scotty Scheffler unless we got to the end here.
MC Gusto, their stock has been exploding. I think he's talking about Texas Roadhouse.
So,
$160 a share.
Wow.
All right, not done. Also on his menu, the dessert, warm chocolate chip skillet cookie, vanilla bean ice cream.
Guess where you get that from? BJ's. I'm telling you, Scotty Scheffler's favorite restaurant
these are like a
is
pie.
Pizookie.
Yeah.
They call it a Pizookie. Scotty Scheffler's favorite restaurant is BJ's. They don't have one in Augusta. He needs his best meal before the Masters. That's what he did. He's elevating it. I salute you.
Could you do all of this before you ate the full meal, though?
No.
Cheeseburger sliders, firecracker shrimp, I could eat thousands of them. Papa Chef's meatball ravioli bites, and then also a part of Texas-style chili.
When do they do this dinner?
They do it, I think, on Tuesday nights.
So, I mean, I guess you play a practice round or something and you burn some calories. You're hungry.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they have it, and you go up into the champions room, and they have it, and it's phenomenal. I saw a video, first time I've ever seen this. I saw a video of when they start to bring, everyone starts to enter the club, of course, at Augusta National, and then they start to bring out the fancy type, the beautiful silverware and much more. It's just got to be amazing. So that's Scotty Scheffler at his champions dinner. I would probably be able to handle, if I took out a couple of those things, that would be just fine for me. Boy, Paul, I wasn't feeling good, Garrett, and Craig didn't make that trip when we went down to the Super Bowl, but Dragos, again, as always, with the Charborough shrimp, oysters, is just beyond amazing.
I do have an NFL note I was going to just pass along, get anybody's thoughts on it, but a little report came out just earlier from the NFL Network that Derek Carr is suddenly in question for the 2025 season with a shoulder injury. And so the Saints now saying that this was unexpected and the injury is threatening his availability. It's not 100% certain that he's been ruled out, but he's weighing options per Ian Rappaport. They have the number 9 pick, and this adds a little bit of mystery potentially to what they might do now if Derek Carr suddenly can't play. But also, there's quarterbacks out there. I saw somebody say, like, hey, Kirk Cousins, get ready to, like, love Dragos, basically. Like, you're probably getting a call to come on down to New Orleans. But that was just a headline from the last hour or so that was, worth, I guess, at least passing along. So I guess we'll see how that impacts New Orleans. And just thank God the draft's almost here. I'm at this point, it's like enough talking. I want to, like, see who's going where. And let's talk about Shedeur Sanders playing for whoever, or Cam Ward or Quinn Ewers or whoever else.
We'll get to that weekend. Poof, it's gone, and then there'll be a lot of undrafted free agents too. Garrett, do you say we need to take a break? Why are you rushing me today?
I don't know.
I don't understand why. You want to come back with a couple more notes from Augusta?
Mickey. That's what I'm saying. We got Mickey.
I thought Mickey was at 5:15. No, that's right. We do have Mickey. Why don't you guys help me remind myself?
5:07.
Yeah, you are the one who does this. And here's the thing, to remind you, we print out a paper that you make.
We'll get to the other final. We got to do the 3 or 4 tweets I put that's nothing to do with golf. We'll do that after Mickey. He's next. This is 365 Sports. You guys are rushing me today. I can't believe that. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. The CEO and general manager is Ted Teague. David Gray handles what they do when it comes to selling you, helping you find the vehicle that you want. And here are a few of the incentives available. The 2024 Ram 3500 diesel 4x4, 56.8, or drive home a 2025 Ram 1500 for only $35,900. Ford and GM owners will get an extra $1,500. Big trucks, big savings only at Alan Samuels. Also, the 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer, which is a phenomenal SUV, huge $13,000 discount plus 0% financing. That's available as well as they hit the weekend. They want you on their parking lot. They want you to see all of what they have, new and used or pre-owned cars. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, let Automatic Chef tailor a break room solution to your needs. Make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Penny Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Penny Clinic Waco and reach out to the Penny Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pennycliniclowt.com.
This is 365 Sports. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. We appreciate Mickey joining us on a Friday afternoon. Mickey, thank you so much. You got home, traffic good. How long is your trip from the Star to the Spagnola Casa?
Friday traffic. Like if I go at a normal time, it takes about a half hour, and then it could be 35 to 40 minutes. So no easy way to do it, David.
I honestly have to tell you this, and I say this every time I go up there because Jennifer and Daniel live up there, and I was there a couple weekends ago. I don't know how you do it. I honestly don't. No rush to get there. The other day, I was able to get on the tollway from near Reunion Arena. Boom, North Tollway, 635 under Express, and I was there. Like it was, but then there's always the bottleneck, and like I don't know what I-75 between 635 and whatever 20 or 30 is just always a disaster.
Well,
always.
Let me tell you this, and you probably get a better understanding. When Dale Hansen retired, I said, "What caused you to retire?" And he said, "Well, two things. One." He goes, I didn't want to just be working for money. I wanted to make sure I was having fun. And two, I got tired of driving downtown to work.
Oh my God. From Waxahachie.
He got spoiled by COVID, right? And for 2 years, he was doing his sportscast in his backyard. And then all of a sudden, he's got to drive 30, 40 minutes to downtown, and he got tired of it. He goes, that's it. I'm done.
Mickey, I think that like years ago when they were planning like the downtown, like, one lane onto the tollway, like one lane off. Yeah. Like they told the architect and the city planner, like, hey, we plan a lot of growth for this city. There could be, 2-3 million people living in the greater DFW area one day. And that'll never happen.
Yeah.
Let's not waste
either that money. Or he said, I'm just going to piss everybody off.
Yeah. That'll never happen. Don't worry about that. Mickey, we're 2 weeks away from the draft in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The Cowboys have this pick 12 is like a really interesting spot given what's going on. I was kind of hoping for their sake there would be kind of a flurry of moves above them. I don't really feel like that's going to happen given kind of the situations of there's several teams that are kind of in similar situations to the Cowboys where, okay, if your first choice isn't there, you have so many other things you got to fill. Why trade? Just go get that other thing. Like the Raiders, for example, there's not one single position that they couldn't draft. Not one at all. And that wouldn't make sense. So, I mean, while like, as you get further down that list, there's some that have that, but yeah, they've got so many teams that like you could draft anything and anybody would understand why you drafted it.
Well, I think, it's usually hard to project. 12's a sweet spot, but it's hard to project what 11 teams are going to do, right? Mm-hmm. So you're sitting there hoping that they're going to take quarterbacks, probably tight ends, offensive linemen in those first 10, 11 picks that you probably aren't interested in. So they got to be pulling for, for sure 2 quarterbacks, maybe 3 go early. Everybody's up in arms with the tight ends. And then there's going to be some offensive linemen go. And then you're sitting there going, okay, let push about 5 or 6 spots down to me. And I might be able to sit there and get something that they need. And they need so many different things that, there should be a very good player sitting there. I was looking at some of the things that have happened over the years, but when you look at the Cowboys draft history, 64 years worth, if you look at picks 1 through 17, when that's where they were picking, those guys produced 100 Pro Bowls. So they've been pretty good picking in that spot, especially 1 to 12. Where, from 9 to 13, I think I came up with 5 Hall of Famers, not Hall of Famers, but from 1 to 13 Hall of Famers, but 9 to 13, they've been pretty darn good in that area. So to me, history says that you just got to be ready to be able to adjust at a minute's notice to have a plan going in. The plan doesn't always work, but you better have a contingency plan just in case.
Listen, they're not doing a lot, right? I mean, the offseason now in the NFL is so different than what it used to be, and that's like it is in everything, it seems like. What has been at least the early returns from within with any players that you bump into when it comes to Schottenheimer and his era now that starts in Dallas?
Well, I think the only person I got to maybe, quiz about that, and maybe the most important one, was the quarterback, Dak Prescott. And he was very, very happy when they named Schottenheimer the head coach. Couple different things. The fact that, the offense is not going to be dramatically changed, that he's been here 3 years. People know him, know what he's like. And the fact that they feel like it's a guy, and this is no reflection on Mike McCarthy or anything, that is going to work his ass off to do everything he can to be successful and for the team to be successful, because at 51 years old, he's getting his first chance to be a head coach. I think the other thing Dak, liked to hear was that, his history as an offensive coordinator and some of the coaches they brought in seemed to be putting a priority on producing a very effective offensive line, which bodes well for an effective running game, which helps the quarterback, who, by the way, when you look at it before he got hurt, was getting hit way too much, and the production wasn't what it needed to be. So he was all for it, and basically, I'm told when he was asked about Schottenheimer, he was like, I'm all in. That's who you need to hire. And at least he's been in the league, all these years. Some of these other young, up and coming guys that were coordinators, well, they were coordinators in the NFL for 3 or 4 years, and they're not even 40, and they're a head coach for the first time. So what do you want? A young guy that's the head coach for the first time, or a guy that's 51 that's been in the league, 25 years, or in coaching 25 years, who's getting his first opportunity?
Mickey Spagnola with us, DallasCowboys.com.
Mickey, is there a player that, I'm thinking like an Israel Mukwamu, someone like that's been on the roster a little while, that because of the fact that they have an opportunity here, because there's some openings like a cornerback or linebacker or whatever, that you're kind of curious to see what they do with a bit of an open lane to drive in over the next couple months?
Not him.
Okay.
I was interested last year at this time and pretty fired up after talking to Mike Zimmer to see what Sam Williams can do at defensive end. And then unfortunately, he gets hurt, tears his ACL in training camp. But he was a guy that they were projecting was going to play 70% of the snaps last year at defensive end. So, now he's got to recover from the ACL. In his favor, it happened in training camp, and I believe they did the surgery kind of late August. So he should be ready to go by the time they go to training camp. And I'm still interested to see if he can be a complete full-time defensive end. He was noted for his pass rush at Ole Miss, and he really hadn't played that much football previously before he got to Ole Miss, and I think he ended up playing 2 years, maybe 3. And so he was pretty new, and I had still friends there that watched him play at Ole Miss, and they told me, if he can improve against the run, he could be pretty dynamic in the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see what a guy like that does. Also, Maris Leofau, who came on late in the season, he's going to be a starter. What's he going to do? And then the other key thing, and he got hurt last year, and he never really was the same. Marshawn Nealon, his second round pick, and he was going to play a lot and started to play a lot when they had problems at defensive end, and then he got hurt. And I don't think he was ever right the rest of the season. So they need guys like that to be able to step up to fill holes, because while they sign guys in free agency, they were kind of placeholders, and you can't solve everything in the draft. I know you got 10 picks, but 10 draft picks aren't going to make this team. So, you're going to use a couple of those picks to try to move around in one of the rounds in the draft to maybe move up for somebody that you got your eye on. But they need some of these guys. Can Brock Hoffman start 17 games at right guard? They brought in a couple veterans just in case, but they kind of liked what they saw from him. And that was his first opportunity to play. Now, can he sustain it? Things like that have to take place, and they better have the right answer to it before they get into the draft to know what they absolutely need to do.
Diggs, Butler, Carson, the corners are deep. Yeah, those guys have had injuries. What is the status, and how many of them will any of them be back before they start playing in September?
I'm starting to worry about Diggs. The more I hear, and I don't know where he's doing his rehab. We see some of the guys doing rehab out on the field. I have not seen him. And so you got to hope he's not behind, because he was behind rehabbing his ACL from the previous season, and then got hurt again. And, that was a serious knee injury he had. So say he's not ready to start the season. You got Deron Bland. I know they, brought in Elam, but this is a guy that only, is a second round pick, started 12 of 29 games he played in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that you can sink your teeth into him. One of the young guys, Josh Butler, was coming on last year, and he tore his ACL in December, so you can't really count on him. And that cornerback position's pretty thin when you look at it. I'm trying to remember if I forgot anybody.
I like Kalen Carson a lot. I liked him at Wake Forest, Mickey, but again,
I liked him, and Paul, I don't mean to interrupt. I liked him in training camp. Yeah. I liked him when he started the season because he had to start out of necessity, and I thought he played well. He got hurt, and then he was never the same player. And I'm not sure what happened, if he lost confidence. When you're young, you get beat a couple times and then you get tentative, and he wasn't aggressive, and he really didn't get a chance to play all that much. I don't remember if I said this to somebody. I don't remember if I told you guys this last week, but Dak nicknamed him Seatbelt because he covered guys so well in training camp, and he started the season that way. And then it was like, what happened after the injury? So if he can step up, he's one of those guys that you just brought up earlier that really needs to be able to step up and be able to play on the outside. And having said all that, this certainly doesn't preclude them from taking a cornerback at number 12.
No, look, if Will Johnson is there, I love that for them.
How about the Texas guy?
Oh, Jahdae Barron?
Yes.
Yeah, him too. Yeah.
Somebody said, well, I think he's a slot guy. I don't know. I think he can do whatever you ask him to do. At least ask him that, and he'll tell you what I just told you.
Yeah.
I can do whatever they ask me to do.
If they like him at 12 and think he can, then it doesn't matter what the draft experts think. It's up to him to do it. Yeah.
And I think because he's 5'11", everybody's looking at him, well, he's a slot guy. Well, maybe not. Because if you can cover, they've had guys before that have been too short, and they couldn't cover, and then, couldn't make a play on the ball. The guy that I always use from example, and, I maybe need to update this, but Baylor's Ron Francis, right?
Oh, yeah.
He could cover, but he was kind of short, and he couldn't make plays on the ball. So, again, 5'11", you're all right. And with that speed and confidence, I got no problems with trying him outside or inside because, they're short. If you don't have Diggs, Jordan Lewis is gone. You still don't know about Kalen Carson. It's pretty thin.
Yeah. Mickey, they could go in a myriad of different directions. Because they don't have the kind of picks that you could see a scenario where there's a guy they just love and have to go up and get somebody in the first round, do you?
No, because one guy's not going to turn 7-10 into 11-6?
Yeah.
Or 11-5, whatever is 6. Yeah. No, they need several things. So I can't imagine sacrificing a pick on day 2 to get just one guy.
Well,
they need too much.
I'll throw this out there just because it's one of the popular things. If they drafted Travis Hunter, that's 2 guys, really.
Well, yeah, and you know what? And I heard this debate going on.
Yeah.
I think it might have been on the NFL radio. But think about this, and you can say you got 2 guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if he gets hurt? Then you just lost
two guys. Yeah. Okay.
So
it's a fair enough
there's
point.
good and bad to it.
There is.
If you're counting on that, right, for him, and he's not going to be a full-time player. I think the best comment I heard was you start him off at cornerback because there's so many various different things on defense you have to learn. Are you playing man? Are you playing zone? Are you playing cover 2 or however? But at wide receiver, it's a little simpler. You just learn some plays and they can give you a package, right? Mm-hmm. So you can be a full-time cornerback and then kind of ease them into being a 10 to 15 snap wide receiver.
Yeah, I am for if you get an athlete like that, whoever gets him, have a plan, but don't ever put a governor on it. Just let the great athletes be great athletes.
And he thinks he can do it full time both ways. You would end up playing 1,000 snaps if you were full time the whole time.
Yeah.
That's asking a lot.
Yeah.
All right, Mick. Appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate your time. Beating the traffic, getting home in time for us to look at your beautiful face. Good to see you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. That's Mickey Spagnola. 30-something years as a segment with the times I was doing talk radio in the 90s to him joining us when we started doing what we did in Waco, 15 years ago, and also now with 365 Sports. Garrett, your option. We could break, come back with 2 or 3 nuggets to hit the weekend of the Masters in the top 10, or top 5, excuse me.
Yeah, let's do that.
No.
Why not?
Do we want to do the quarterback rankings, or is that enough time?
No, we don't have enough time.
All right, we'll do that again. There's going to be a bunch of them. We'll do that. This is 365 Sports. IdealMRI.com in the Central Texas marketplace, state-of-the-art imaging machine to find out what your doctor needs to know. What your doctor needs to know of why a part of your body is in aching and sometimes severe pain. Whether it's a torn ligament in your knee, ACL, MCL, PCL, or is it just something's a bruise or maybe just something else that they at least can, that's not it, eliminate as far as the diagnosis because your knee is unstable and it's not doing well. Your shoulder, whether it's a torn rotator cuff, a detached bicep, your back based on what's going on with your neck from top to bottom of your spine, and then also maybe even carries into your hip. What is it? They will find out. And it's only $497 at Ideal MRI when the average MRI is $1,100. Dr. Rob Maxey, the partners in the beautiful business at Ideal MRI in the Central Texas marketplace. Remember, just $497 off I-35 in Waco.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow at GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine now has 2 locations to serve you. The original on Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street and the brand new spot in downtown Waco at 600 Franklin Avenue. If you're looking for the best in craft beers or local Texas bourbons, then the original is the place to be. And for the latest trends and online phenomenons, head downtown to the Franklin location. Either way, you're going to get the same great variety, customer service, and speedy experience. Check out both locations on their Facebook and Instagram pages, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, and now downtown on Franklin Avenue.
This is 365 Sports. Check out the 365 Sports family of channels on YouTube.
.365 Sports taking you up until about 6 o'clock. Appreciate everybody watching, however you are, whether it's on Twitter at 365. What did that come from? YT on Instagram. We got to get going on that, Paul. That seems to be stuck in the mud.
Instagram?
Aren't we live on Instagram?
We are.
I thought we had to get to 1,000.
No, that's TikTok.
Okay.
Let's let TikTok marinate a little bit. I mean, we have to get to 1,000.
Is it live right now, TikTok?
I mean,
isn't
yes,
that also like
it's very controversial, and I don't.
All right.
I don't know
YouTube.
what to think about it.
365 Sports on YouTube.
Katie Rader tells me to
I get that
be
stuff.
wary of it,
Yeah.
and he knows, and I'm wary of it. We are on it for whenever it gets worked out.
All right,
but
then I don't need to bring them up until we know what we're going to do there. Yeah. So this is from Tracy Wolfson. She, of course, just worked the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Few things. Look at that picture. Few things exceed expectations. Augusta National is one of them. It's a postcard everywhere you look. No cell phone policy is welcome break for the day. Everyone walks the course, heads up, face to face. You can hear the birds chirping and the crowds reacting. Special. Now, you do know that most PGA tournaments, whatever, you always see people behind a player, whatever, wherever, a tee box, etc. Got the cell phones going on. Can't do that. Not during the tournament at Augusta National. They have, and I don't know, I haven't been there now. It's been about 10, 15 years, but they have banks of phones that you can go walk up. You could be from Tennessee or you could be from San Jose. You could walk up to these banks of phones. You pick it up. You dial straight to whatever number you're calling. No charge. And you can sit there and talk on the phone. It's away from the course. Back, it's in the premises or in the surroundings of Augusta National, but off to the side, usually tucked around, and you can make a phone call if you need to check into the office or somebody else. That's a pretty good deal. That's from Tracy Wolfson. Also, Samantha Marks. So they have different golf shops. I will never forget the first time I ever was lucky enough to go to Augusta. Never thought I'd go. Never thought I'd go back. Walked into one of these merchandise, unbelievable amount of golf, everything you could imagine. So she walked in on Tuesday. This is Tuesday. Asked the person who was checking her out, and I'm talking about these golf shirts that are, you could get them. They're very affordable. Some of the nicest golf shirts you can imagine. Golf club covers, head covers, towels, golf balls, memorabilia. She walked in on Tuesday and asked the cashier what had been the largest ticket she had rung up that day. It was Tuesday, 9 a.m., $12,500.
Man.
Now, I will tell you this, and any of you who have been to Augusta National know that one of the greatest things they ever came up with, other than the golf course, is you could walk in there, and let's just say, Paul, Craig, we walked in there and we picked out 10 or 12 golf shirts, which, by the way, some of them, I don't know what the prices are now, but there's also, again, they're usually very affordable. I got some nice golf shirts at the time, I think, for $75, $85. And yes, you can get some that are up to $199 or whatever, Bobby Jones, etc. Slick, beautiful golf shirts. But let's say you walked out with a bag of 10 or 12 golf shirts to send back or to take to your friends or whoever, or for yourself. They have, outside of each of these pro shops or golf shops, they have the ability for you to walk to a trailer area that's a nice area and send it back home. So you don't have to worry about carrying it on the course or taking it back to your hotel room or your Airbnb or flying on an airplane with it. They will they box it up right there in front of you, give you a ticket, you pay for, and they will send it straight to your home or office or wherever you want it sent. Then you go back in again if you want to shop again. So $12,500, even if it's $250, you don't have to deal with it. You can send it back to you wherever you want it to go.
Disney World does that too. I think they'll send it to your house, or like if you have kids and you go, they have your build your own lightsaber shop. When my family and I went many years ago in 2016, all the kids wanted a lightsaber. But the last thing you want to do is walk around with a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old with lightsabers in a park that costs you $180 to pee in, but no, they say, here's what we'll do. Where are you staying? You're like, oh, we're at this resort. And then they're like, okay, well, you scan they give a little magic band. You scan your little magic band and pay for it. And then you get back to the hotel room later after your day of revelry with Mickey, and they're sitting there waiting for you.
Augusta National has a check stand as well. As I mentioned, it's called the FedEx, by the way. UPS shipping centers located near the exits of the merchandise center. So you can walk right out, walk to the entrance or at the I guess you could say stand, and ship your purchases right back home. It's an amazing type of, it's an incredible customer service. So that's from Samantha Marks. One other note. Here's a home, probably an Airbnb. I did not know this. I saw this today. I thought this would be of interest. Homes in Augusta can rent for nearly $30,000 plus this week. Even better, Augusta rule allows people to rent out their primary residence for up to 14 days each year without paying tax on the income you make for that time period. Yeah, the IRS initially put the rule in place for Augusta, but now available to everyone.
Yeah, they there's no hotels there really.
Well, there are, but
there's not,
first year we went, we stayed the first night at what was a hotel, a home that was at a golf course between Atlanta and Augusta. Then we stayed at what was called the Augusta Towers. I don't even know if they still exist. And then we started using the Airbnbs.
Yeah, they actually my top 5 you'll see in a second is Masters fun facts and some things that have happened at the Masters. And one of the things involves Bill Gates and where he had to stay one time when they overbooked the on-property apartments for a members event.
Really?
Yes. And the thing is about Augusta, Georgia, is that it's very outside of the Masters. or if you lived around Augusta National, you wouldn't really go there for anything else. It's not it's kind of a pass-through town for the most part, at least on the interstate. So most of the hotels are Red Roof Inns and Holiday Inn Expresses and things like that. So if you are a lot of the people who go to the Masters and stay for multiple days, if they can't rent one of those houses because they're spending a lot of money, their taste lives a little higher than the Chateau Rouge.
Well, when we went a couple of different times, Eric got to know John Rollins, who was a PGA Tour golfer, played really well in his career, and eventually now he's part of the PGA, I think on Sirius XM radio. And they would, players would rent out either like VJ Singh one year was across the hallway from a suite. He was in a big suite, but they rent out these Airbnbs and then family and whoever else is there, sponsors, etc. And they're beautiful homes. And then you could maybe find one that maybe is not so, I guess you could say, high and fancy, but that's what you could do. No jeans. They don't recommend that. You're not going to get in if you're wearing a pair of jeans.
I've got another fact about that too. They've added something to the list.
No T-shirts?
No. They'll see in a second. I'll tell you when we're in break. I don't want to ruin it. It's coming up here momentarily.
What about cameras? Have you gotten into that? Is that part of your deal?
No.
Previous personal cameras are permitted Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but you are not allowed. The cell phones, of course, is another one I mentioned earlier, but you are not allowed to take cameras into the Masters, I guess you could say that when the tournament begins. No phones, just no phones. Cell phones, laptops, tablets, any of that prohibited on the grounds at all times at Augusta National. So there you are, because they have that bank of phones. When we come back, Paul Catalina and his top 5.
You might ask yourself what functional mushrooms are good for. Whether it's lion's mane, cordyceps, turkey tail, shiitake, reishi, they all serve a purpose.
You have ones for neurological health, ones for sleeping and gut health and all these different areas. They pack a powerful punch.
Functional mushrooms are, of the millions of mushrooms and fungi out there, the ones that we can actually ingest and benefit from as humans.
Like all adaptogens, they kind of adapt to what you need at the time that you need them.
We don't even really know that we're suffering. We just don't quite feel right. That's where these adaptogens come in and really start to close the gap and really start getting us closer to how we want to feel.
Functional mushrooms have definitely re-energized me and helped me face each day with a new vigor for life.
Learn ways that functional mushrooms can help you. Go to GetHumble.com.
You spent hours selecting your patio sofa. Choosing that grill would have taken weeks. Probably your car needed way more time. For sure, you would have spent months mulling over that pool of yours. Protecting your prized possessions needs no time, though. Just visit coversandall.com, create a custom size per your requirements, pick a fabric and personalize your cover, and leave the rest to us. Premium protection for all that you love.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Ticket Club. Forget the fees, just big savings. Click the link in the description to find out more.
Welcome into the Friday Top 5. I thought I'd throw a little Masters fun facts at you today. Yeah, fun facts. I use that term. They're facts that, if you perceive them to be, are fun. Fun facts. Number 5. No cargo pants. Look, they basically tell you to wear golf attire, which means no shorts and, you got to wear the proper shoes and all those things. But when cargo pants became popular, the folks at Augusta National says, we do not approve of this fashion trend, and we will not have it on our golf course. So, much like many times I've gone to the store with my wife and picked out pants, she also shares their sentiment. No cargo pants. So, if you're going to go to Augusta National, just know those extra pockets to store your golf tees or snacks or whatever, not going to be allowed in. No cargo pants. Number 4. During World War II, it was a cattle farm. Shut down, obviously, as many things were, sports-wise, because many of the pros and people who were playing it were fighting valiantly in World War II. They turned it into a cattle farm, which to me is one of the trippiest things in the world because it is so beautiful. And there are a lot of, I know, pretty cattle farms, but I just cannot picture cows eating grass off of Amen Corner. But it was during World War II. Number 3, only 3 pro golfers are members, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, and John Harris. Those are the only ones who are actual members. And as many of you know, you can't just go and be a member. You have to be invited. And, of course, Jack and Arnie are the, kind of 2 of the faces on the Mount Rushmore of golf. But nobody else. And that one, John Harris. That's it. That's the only 3 that are actual members of Augusta National. I knew there were not that many. I thought there were more than 3. Number 2, they once made Bill Gates stay at a Red Roof Inn. So they have limited cabins and different things on the property at Augusta National. And one year during a members-only event, of course, Bill Gates, one of the richest men in the world, is a member. They invited him. He was there to stay, and they overbooked it. So Bill Gates, because Augusta is a very small town, as a matter of fact, if you don't know this, when you go into Augusta to go to the Masters as a guest, mostly you rent a house. And they've been doing that long before Airbnb even existed. So, because this event was only a couple days and there was no house to rent, it wasn't Masters weekend, it was just a regular members event that they have every single year. And the better hotels are well outside of Augusta. Bill Gates had to stay at a Red Roof Inn. So, of the several things I have in common with Bill Gates is that, 1, he has been here to Waco a couple times and been to Baylor basketball games.
2, we have both unwillingly stayed at a Red Roof Inn. That's pretty much where our similarities end. Number 1, a man was once arrested for stealing sand. When Bubba Watson won his Masters, a man thought he would be a good idea to go steal some sand from one of the bunkers to bring back as a souvenir for his son. That did not go well. He was arrested. Also, clearly, this guy was cheap. Could have brought back any number of things, like a cup or anything from the gift shop. But he thought, I'll be unique. And there's no way that these people who don't allow even cargo pants will notice that I've come across the line onto a course I've never been invited to and scooped some sand out. That is, in the history of dumb criminals, one really dumb criminal. And either a really cool story or a really embarrassing story, depending on who and where you're telling it. And congratulations to the people at Augusta National, and I do mean this sincerely, for doing that and letting the story be out in the world, because it's hilarious. And I appreciate good comedy, and I appreciate you, Augusta National, for everything that you do and bringing us the most wonderful golf tournament in the world. I say that from the bottom of my heart. That is going to do it for the show. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. By the way, I just glanced at ESPN Plus, where you can watch certain featured groups and, of course, the coverage that is also on TV. But Scotty Scheffler just hooked one left into the trees on 18. He's at 6 under par, but looks like he's going to have to struggle. That's where Koepka got a quadruple bogey earlier today. Mickelson struggled down the stretch, did not make the cut. Spieth is right on the cut line with a couple of holes left to play. All right, Garrett Ross, thank you, sir, for surging us through the show today on 365 Sports, running the mothership. Andrew Valade doing all of what he does with trying to get us and our content out to as many people and eyeballs as possible. Thank you, those of you who watch us today, and those in the chat room today, too. We appreciate your energy, access, and also time. For Craig Smoak and for Paul Catalina, I'm David Smoak. This is 365 Sports. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.